Good morning, wherever you're watching us from. My name is Alexandria, your host with the mostest. Thank you very much for tuning in. We have started a little bit late, but as always, thank you for being so generous towards the show and waiting for us wherever you guys are watching from, and just loving on the show as well. This is a new segment of the Campfire Talk Show. It is Uganda at the Crossroads, and we do this every time as we delve into the situations that happen in Uganda during that week, and see what we can do, give our voice on that matter, and just continue in that spirit, and just do our part as Ugandans, as human beings who want to see change in the world out there, and just to continue just to bring information to you guys who are sitting at your job, or you are somewhere and you want to just listen to something that's interactive and that's powerful and gets your mind thinking. So this is the show for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you share it. If you're tuning in online, please share the page with your friends and your family and anyone you think is interested in the topics that we're about to talk about. As for most of you who saw the flyer earlier on that was spread throughout online, and your WhatsApps, and then Facebook, Instagram, and the flyer has been going around. We are tackling the 5 whys of people power. What is people power? Who is people power? And the meaning behind the whole concept of people power. We've had so many people misconceptualize the meaning of people power and what it means to be under that slogan. It's not a political party, but we have brought someone. I think you've heard her before. She's been on Uganda at Crossroads the last few weeks, and she's been very vocal. She's been very adamant on making her point heard about people power. She's a very big activist of this concept, and she wants to talk more about it, because there's so many people who are getting it confused, and maybe we have so many people who are, anything that happens within or outside of Uganda by Ugandans is said to be people power, and people are using that slogan wrong. And we have someone who's here to break the ice, who's here to just educate us and tell us more about what this concept means. I admit that I had a wrong concept of people power in the beginning, and she set me straight. Now I'm actually feeling more empowered. I am very articulate in all that I'm saying. I'm willing to step into places where I'm needed, just because I realize what people power means, what the actual concept means. So if you're out there thinking about what you're wondering what to read about or what to learn about today, this is the segment for you. We have Sarah Bakanansa in the studio with us. She is an active and a permanent member and activist on the Uganda at Crossroads show that's under the Campfire Talk Show. But today this segment is specifically here to handle people power. So I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself for the very few people out there who have not seen her or had her speak, and then we're going to delve into what people power means and the reason behind people power. So Sarah, thank you. I know you have backed me so many times, like, Alex, we need to do this for people. We need to I need to sit down with so many people and talk about people power. And I'm glad that you pushed us. You pushed me and my producer to actually put it online and just get that message out there. And it's such a good message. And I think it doesn't have to stop in Uganda. It can be a message that's for Kenyans and Tanzanians and basically all Africans. So we want to hear you in regards to this, and what do you have to say about people power? So thank you.
In some countries it's good evening, some countries it's morning, and then good afternoon to everyone who is watching us today. Definitely still at Uganda at Crossroads, and I'm really glad to Campfire TV for hosting us all the time, so that we can be able to discuss issues and situations happening in Uganda. And again, to be able, and I'm glad for this opportunity because there's been a lot of misconception when it comes to people power, who is people power. Everyone, and I feel like everyone needs to understanding better for them to push the information forward. And people power may apply also to Ugandans or to Kenyans too, because so many African countries feel they need change, or they need to give a chance to the young people, the youth. So this could be a message. If they understand the concept, then they can as well use it in their own countries.
So basically, I wanted to explain it from the beginning. We have seen MP Chaglanizan was brought forth this slogan, and people power it's not new. It has history behind it. If you have had a chance of reading the history behind the Philippines leader who used the same slogan a while back, a few years ago, actually a couple of years ago, like 30 years ago, people power was such a big thing by then. So it's nothing new, but it has taken on a new meaning because right now the younger generation is taking it into focus, and they're trying to use it, and they're trying to have it, they're trying to make it their own, to talk about their own lives. So basically we want you to tell us what is people power in regards to Honorable Chagulanyi and what he's trying to bring forth, and what you want the Ugandan citizens and the people out there to learn.
To understand. Okay, people power briefly, if I'm going to put it out there in a simplest way for every Ugandan to understand it, it's a mindset. It's not a political party. It has nothing to do with what you dress. It doesn't have anything to do with your affiliations. It is a mindset.
It's a way of thinking, yes.
It's a way of thinking. It is as simple as, this I'll bring it to, I have seen people for example, I've been following has been happening in the news, and I saw Ugandans, the youth in Nakaseke. The young people in Nakaseke had their party cards, their NRM, they were not happy, so they had a press conference where they sat down to talk about, they wanted the president to address their situations. They are seeing the president giving out money in other areas. And one of the things they mentioned, if the president does not address our issues, we are going to join people power. And I held my breath, and I'm like, already the fact that you're dissatisfied, because the things they were mentioning is we lack jobs, we have organized circles, we've not been facilitated to provide a living for our families, we've not gotten any bursaries for anyone from Nakaseke. Their issue was President Museveni fought his war from Nakaseke. Our parents died, our grandfathers died, our parents gave in their cows, their food.
Basically a lot of collateral damage.
Exactly. So if now for young people like those, they need to understand that people power is not you holding your movement party card. In fact, what we say, already whatever they are saying, they are dissatisfied Ugandans. That's already people power. That's a mindset.
The fact that they're realizing that something is missing.
Things have not been, they've not achieved as much as they wanted to achieve, having put in their time, because one of the chairman for youth in NRM was complaining that he has devoted his time and all his energy into the movement, into the NRM party. So already the mindset of feeling unsatisfied and they want to see things get better, that is already, they're using their voices to speak out. That's already people power.
True.
Now, for anyone out there who is in NRM, and they have their party cards and assume, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll take my party card and join and maybe give it to Bobby Wine and join people power. No, you can still be in NRM. You can still have your party card. You can still wear your yellow, but your mindset
has changed.
Your mindset has changed. Demand for the things we are demanding for. You do not have to give in your, no one is going to take your party card. No one is going to say, oh, you start dressing this way. You can still be where you are, but still your mindset can be people power. I have seen I saw Mama Fina. She was meeting a group of traditional healers, that's how they call them. And she was talking of if President Museveni cannot recognize us and give us blah, 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 then we are going to join people power. The issue is if you feel you're not satisfied with what the president has done for you or what you've, because they felt like whenever there are campaigns, they do stuff, they pray, whatever they do. So the moment you feel unsatisfied with whatever the president has done, you are already people power. So people power is a mindset for every Ugandan to know that we need change. I'll give examples because I want to use examples for people to understand exactly why we are saying people power. Today, yesterday in Lusanja, women, since 500 homes have already lost their houses because of maybe an investor or a landlord who didn't want them on the land. But 500 homes is a lot. 500 people raising their voices and saying enough is enough, that's already people power.
That's people power.
We have so many people who are either in movement, who are either in different parties, but even all political parties, they are saying the same thing we are saying. But the only difference is we are not labeling ourselves in anything to do with the party. We are not saying I'm FDC. We are not saying I'm UPC, I'm JEMA, I am DP. We are saying it is time for all Ugandans to put their voices together and demand for the same thing. Because if you see whatever FDC is saying, it's the same thing I'm saying. But the difference between us, I don't have any political party. I am speaking out because enough is enough. They are speaking out, though they are saying the same thing, enough is enough, but they belong to a certain party. And parties have limitations because you have, then you have people come, everyone saying, oh, I belong to this party, I belong to this party. But this is an open mindset for everyone. And people party means every individual, any woman, let's take it back down to the grassroots. Any person who cannot access medical service in any health center. For example, I don't care where you are. You are in Bududa, you are in Kabelamaido, wherever you are. If you cannot access medical services.
Just the basic necessities of life.
And you've been quiet for a long time, you can't even say anything. The day you raise up your voice and say enough is enough, that's people power. People power is more of people who have been timid. People who have been timid, people who have not been able to express themselves.
It's been growing over time.
Yes,
and
it's pain that has been sitting in, people want change. All the time it's people wanting change, but they've been suppressed because of either people fear torture or the gun. Anything that happens small, you see tear gas coming out, you see the gun coming out. So people have been timid. But when you see young people coming up and say, yes, this is what we want. Now that is people power. It's a mindset wanting to change from the norm of what you've been seeing. From the norm of, oh, we get sleep, we are comfortable. And then you say, no, enough with the sleep, enough with this, enough with that. I'm speaking out. And that's why we don't have any limitations to, you can be NRM. You can be NRM. Just like before this show, I had a chat with you and I told you, I believe also President Museveni wants change.
Yep, I think he does, yes.
He's tired. He's tired. He has done it all. 30-something years if as president. He wants change. But what we want, maybe he doesn't know the type of change.
Or how to get that kind of change.
Exactly.
Or how
so
to
this is what we are saying. That you know what? You could be president, you could be having all this amount of money, but you're also oppressed in a certain way or another. Or
you're limited in where you...
Yeah, because maybe he has people around him who are lying to him, and that's his problem. Maybe you have people around you, but they're suppressing you, oh, when you leave power, this is what is going to happen. When you leave power. So we are opening up the mindset. Even we are saying, oh, President Museveni, you've been a great president, 33 years, no one can be president for 33 years. No fool can be president. So we are saying, this is what we are saying. If he feels like, and this is the change we want to initiate in him, if he sees it, he can as well step aside.
I think your point is very valid. I think people power also exists. Like people who have come to the United States, people who live in this country, the land of the free. They have that concept of people power. Maybe they call it different things, but the way you can someone or a white person on the street who's homeless, they can tell you, you know what, I have a right to be here. I have a right to go here. I have a right to cross the road. I have a right to be protected. They can demand something of a police officer. They can demand something out of, I'm supposed to have a blanket. They know things that they deserve themselves as human beings. And they already have that concept. They have grown up knowing you have your rights. You have a right to be happy. You have a right to food. You have a right to hospitalization. You have a right to free care. Like those things, we call them a different name. Maybe because we live in America, it's a democracy of some sort. But it's people power in its own say, because they know exactly what they need and what they demand, and they need to get it.
People in Africa, exactly, that's what they are demanding for. the people in either, if we have, you've seen now, I've seen a movement coming up in Kenya, people power Kenya.
Yeah.
People are raising their voices from the timid, unsatisfied situations that they're saying, hey, this is what we demand. So one of the things, bringing it back to Uganda, one of the things I want to address, I have seen people who think, one, People Power is not a political party. People Power belongs to everyone.
I would like you to repeat that, because that's like a main issue right now.
Yeah, it's not
and that's something that we have to deal with.
Because I've seen people asking Bobby Wine, oh, when I registering, this is not a political party. People Power is every Ugandan who is not satisfied with what they're getting right now. Every Ugandan who feels, no, we need, at this point in time after 33 years, we would be having better roads. At this point in time after 33 years, we would be having a better healthcare system. After 33 years, we would be having factories, we would be having employment opportunities. Uganda maybe would be more industrious than how
other
it
countries,
was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So People Power are Ugandans raising up their voices and saying, insecurity. We can't sleep at night. Because you see what happens, people used to say, we sleep and we're comfortable, we sleep at night.
Yep.
It's not the case right now. People don't sleep at night. Either there is a lot of insecurity, there is a lot of murders, a lot of kidnaps, a lot of robbery. So it's happening.
There's just a lot of fear all around.
Yeah, a lot of fear. And it now erases the fact that people used to sleep. So even those who used to be comfortable that we sleep, they're now raising their voices and saying, hey, we are no longer sleeping. So it's People Power is a mindset. It is, and again, it is you raising that voice you've been suppressing. Because everything we mention here, Ugandans have been facing for 10, 20 years. You're a parent, you take your kids to school, they study, graduate, and you expect them to get a job, and 4 years down the road, they have no job. You've been suppressing that voice of saying, hey, why can't we have a system that is better for every Ugandan to at least access jobs or internship or everything? Yes, so every Ugandan. So one, it's not a political party. So when I see people saying, oh, we are going to join People Power, already if you're dissatisfied with what the current regime has done or what you see right now, you're already People Power. Because you're already speaking out.
You're recognizing what you need and what you require, and you're not getting
you know what is wrong.
The basics,
the difference would have been people who are not able to speak out. They see everything that is wrong and they don't speak out. So we have those in Uganda. We have they call themselves the silent. They call themselves the silent majority.
The silent majority.
They are the silent minority because they're comfortable. They are living a comfortable life.
And they don't want it to change for other people.
Yeah, exactly. But majority of the Ugandans, they're living in misery. They're living
under the poverty line, which we should have changed a long time ago.
They educate kids and they cannot access jobs. They cannot even access simple medical care. Because if you think, oh, we are comfortable, but you're still taking Ugandans abroad for things like heart surgery. Those are simple things that should be done in Uganda after 33 years. So it's people raising their voices. So if you're NRM and you feel you want change, you don't have to throw away your party card. In fact, I would advise people in NRM, keep your party card, even wear your yellow T-shirt, wherever you are. Wear something that identifies you with your party, but still demand for change. Because maybe that's when the president will know, oh, even people in my own party need change. So it encompasses everything, because you cannot wake up and say, because every Ugandan, whether, that's what I keep telling people, you may find people in opposition also want change, you may find people in NRM also want change.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it's a mindset for every Ugandan who feels things are not going right or they're not going the way they would expect them to go at this point in time.
So the concept is, we've had so many Ugandans. Right now, the People Power is coming up now because I think people have started to wake up a little bit. But now I want to take you back 10 years ago, 20 years ago. There should have been a number. People Power should have resurrected by then. But people, I think, got so comfortable. As you mentioned, people got comfortable in living under the poverty line. They've grown up knowing, I am poor, I'll always die poor. The little I have is enough for me. It's fine. And then they've lived under the concept, oh, this country always exists in corruption. We always know that, we're not going to get these basic things. Even though they've given out millions, those millions are going to go to this person here or this individual. They've grown up with that concept of knowing that the little that we're getting is enough. How is People Power going to break that concept, that mindset, because it's hard for people who have always lived in poverty, always lived in under poor conditions, for them to think that better is coming. They have lived in that situation. They are not seeing any change coming. They are not even expecting it to come, no matter how many times we mention people power. They're just those people who are, that minority of people who are saying, I'm oblivious. I don't care. I don't care whether people power is going to be here or NRM is going to be here. It's going to come and go. What are you going to do for that? What do you say people power is going to do for those kind of people that are out there?
What happens with the majority of Ugandans? They've been complacent, or they've been in situations where, and there's a saying that says, when you press the nose harder, it bleeds. These are people that have been suppressing the pain they've had for a long time, hoping things are going to change. But 33 years down the road, no one is seeing the change they hoped for. So when they wake up, and now our focus and our aim right now in sensitizing them is whatever we are saying, they know. They've been feeling it, but they didn't have the energy, the zeal to speak out.
They have lost all hope. They are thinking this is just another influx, sort of excitement that's coming into the system, and then it's losing. Those are the ones I want to tackle right now, because we have the youth.
You see, it is easy to lose hope, because what has happened, when you look at what has been happening before, is people have been promised things like, oh, this election is coming up, we are going to give you money, we are going to give you a t-shirt, we are going to give you this, and we are going to give you that. The difference with people power right now, we are telling Ugandans the power belongs to you. And that's something many Ugandans have been lacking. Maybe Ugandans thought of the power belongs to President Museveni, or the power belongs to this kind of leader. Now, it is right now that Ugandans need to understand that the power belongs to them. It is very important to know that it is your vote that keeps that person, that leader that has not been giving you the services you need, into power. And you see it, even it happens in developed countries like in America. Right now, in November, we are going into the midterm elections. But what are they doing right now? They've discovered there are a lot of young people that have not been voting, or maybe they've only been voting when it comes to the presidency. So they are encouraging them to go and vote. But for Ugandans, they need to understand that you've been voting, and it's using, because the moment people feel the power belongs to them, or it is something they have, they only have to cause change, then they begin to protect it. Then they begin to demand for better services. If you've noticed of recent, the president has been going out into areas you've never seen going to. He's been going into the ghetto.
True. I've seen that happening.
You have a big influx of Ugandans that live in the ghetto. You have so many. Why is he looking at the youth now? Because the youth that have been ignored, and it's the biggest percentage of the population right now, have woken up. And they're saying, enough is enough. We are demanding for better services. We are going to use our power. We are going to use our voices. We are going to use our vote to cause change. So when people discover and identify that the power one belongs to them, and they can use their power, they can use their voices to sensitize and cause change, then that's why you see this movement is becoming bigger and bigger, because so many people, especially the young people who used to sleep, because if you look at the older generation compared to the young generation is huge. And at this point in time, if you do not calm down the young generation, first of all, if they've not been given, if they don't have jobs, they have nothing to lose, they're hopeless.
They don't have anything that they're going to lose right now.
Exactly.
You're very right. Yeah.
If you start encouraging the young people and telling them, hey, power belongs to you. You're a border rider, yes. You know you can be a member of parliament?
Yeah.
Do you know you can be a member? Do you know? And this guy, for example, he has been the chairman of the stage for 5 years or 4 years, and he has managed the stage well. There are no thieves on the stage. And the whole town, people love him, like him. Now the guy begins to see himself in a bigger way. Oh, so I can be a member of parliament. Maybe he's a senior 6 dropout. Maybe finished senior 6. Maybe he's even having a diploma. Maybe he's having a degree. So people begin to see themselves in a bigger light. And I'm telling you, when people discover
their own worth, yes,
who they are, if people get to know their own worth, if people get to know that they are bigger than who they are right now, or they are bigger than what you had made you to be, or they cannot be suppressed anymore. You can't control those.
They can't.
So, exactly. Everyone is breaking away from their shell. What you're seeing right now, and I'm very excited about 2021, especially for leave alone the presidency, for member of parliament and all those posts. You're going to see people you never expected to see. We are going to see young people, many of them. They may not have money to campaign, but they are going to have the people's will and the vote. And I'm telling you, because campaigns are going to shift away from using money to adding a voice, be able to deliver, be able to do this. People are going to, you're going to give people money and they're going to vote for someone else because it's now people power.
That's true. That has recently, that's the trend now. They'll say, I'm going to accept your money, but I'm going to do what I feel like. Before people power became a thing, people would be like, you know what, they paid me money, I'm going to keep quiet silently, and I go over there and do what I was told. But now everyone is in that concept where I'm going to take your money, but I'm going to go back to what I believe in, what I think is right. And that's the new trend, which I think that's why they think that, why they know they're losing, because now everyone has a different
way. That's what we are looking for. We are looking at opening mindsets of people to know their worth and look at themselves beyond what they've been seeing. The generation of we used to sleep that is yesterday.
Yeah.
The generation of today, they know exactly what they want, but they've been timid. They've been, one, intimidated, or they didn't think they are worthy being. And you see, Bobby Wine comes in, is like a package that comes in all shapes to so many people.
Sizes, yeah.
Yeah, he comes to the old, to the young. So many people look at themselves and see Bobby Wine. Even if they bring you pictures of Bobby Wine 10 years ago, you look at him and think, exactly, that's
how I used to look like.
That's how I used to look like. So I can be this guy. So you have so many young people who are, by the way, the energy of young people right now, because they feel like, if Bobby Wine can do it, I can do it. If this guy, no. And because he has grown up in the ghetto, and on top of that, he has kept himself in that community. If you go to Kamocha, I used to go to the gym in Wandegea, one of the
small gyms over there, yeah.
Yes, it's at some lousy gym of some guy where they don't even have the better equipment. That's why I used to go. So just tell me the guys in that gym, if they see Bobby Wine becoming an international icon, everyone is looking at themselves and like,
they can recognize them, so they can see themselves in him in every stage that he has taken.
They are looking at him and they're like, hey, I can be this guy. So people are now discovering who they are and what they can be. And you know, when you break out of that shell of not knowing exactly who you are, not knowing your worth, and not knowing that you have the power to cause the change you need and you want, then it's a problem for the regime and everyone who is resisting change, because it's coming.
So I want to recognize everyone who's tuning in online. I know so many people are online watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Right now we're talking about what is people power and who is people power. We have our resident activist, Sarah Bakanansa, who's very, very intelligent in all ways regarding people power, and, you know, not even people power, but what the genuine human being deserves to have out of this life. If you're entitled to have a meal each day, or you're entitled to better health care, these are things that you require and you need and you're going to get. So she's someone who's actively letting you know or reminding you that these are basic necessities that you need out there, and if you're not getting them, you need to rise up or stand up and say something, and not just be quiet and expect things to change for the better. So I want to say, ask people I want to recognize everyone who's online. Omuntu Wansi saying, an Africa united can never be divided. We have Daniel D. Modern Films who's saying, Sarah Joy, thank you for your time, but next time, that one I won't read. I have Renita Kalyango saying, I love the way you explain, Sarah. And then I have so many other people who are tuning in. Ellen Prezo, you're saying people power represents those who are jobless, pay taxes without service, delivery, and those who are affected by corruption. Ellen Prezo, thank you for your sound mindset. You're always the one, showing us the right direction as well. And your input is forever valuable. So thank you so much. Brilliant Kaida, thank you from wherever you are, always sharing the page and, just being an active supporter of this show. If you think this show is going to help someone out there and you're watching us, whether you are under the NRM or you are under any party, people power is not a party affiliated concept. It's just a mindset, and we want so many other people to tune in. If you think it's going to help someone who's in NRM or FDC or anyone who's out there who's undecided basically, and you want to show them a better way, please share the page with your friends, your family, your co-workers, anyone who's out there and you think they might want to hear this message. please feel free and share that. We also have Brian Kaziwe saying, well said. We also have Jinju Najubi saying, excellent. Ray Matov is coming out and saying they should see people power that rallied in Kenya with Honorable Babu and Chagulanyi at Jacaranda grounds. We are forming a people power revolution across Africa, which is true, and that's actually something that's really, really big. So I want to ask something that has just stuck in my mind. I think people power didn't work out well because maybe we didn't have so much information then. All we had were basing really on actions that we had seen of our past people, or people who had been bribed, and then they received some kind of bribe in some way, and they did all these things. But people power, I think right now people have so much information at their fingertips. Even the person who's omuntu wansali, they have information at their fingertips. They can get information from, I don't know, Okwalinga on Facebook, or they can get information on WhatsApp. There's just so much information moving around, and people are able to get all this information from, just learn about different ways to just put this information forward. What I'm trying to say is now I think people have realized the tactics that maybe the government of Museveni or people under Museveni will use to keep their voices down. And I think they've recognized that, and they're like, you know what, we know what tactics you're going to use this time. We're better prepared, so we're not going to do it. I think that's why it has become such a big thing right now. There's so many ways for it to become such a big issue. Like they know what you're not going to pay me, you're going to pay me off. Or maybe you're going to make someone disappear. What else is new? You do this all the time. They have known all the little things that you can do that you can defeat us. But now they are stronger together, they're stronger banded together, because now they know the inside, they know all your tricks. I think that's why it has become such a big thing, because they're using that kind of knowledge.
What I would say, people power, you've heard let me go back to the time of Dr. Besigye. Dr. Besigye, his message was more of one Uganda, one people. But if you look at it, it's the same message. What we are saying now, it's the same thing he's been saying. And that's the same thing politicians have been saying. But now, the difference between all those people was the personality standing behind the message. Dr. Besigye, he has done a wonderful job to do with causing change in Uganda, and he has been a strong political household. But the thing is, when you look at him, people looked at him more as someone who is coming from a military background. He was with President Museveni and all that. Now, the difference of Chagulanyi and the rest is he comes from the people. Everyone has seen him as a musician. Everyone has seen him as a young man who has done every wrong thing that everyone has done. Maybe at one point he fought in a bar. Maybe at one point he did someone. Maybe at one point he did. He has done every wrong thing a teenager or a young person growing up has done. And he has risen from grass to grace in the eyes of every Ugandan. His life has been public. And when he came up to seek public office, everyone was looking at him. I guess there are those who did not even believe he could win. He gets up and wins with 78%. He won at every polling station. But what was his campaign strategy? It was simple, and that was even before the People Power movement became really strong. His campaign strategy was simple. He used to do the door-to-door. He reached out to people, door to door. He didn't use money in his campaign. He didn't use money, but he spoke to the hearts of the people. This is who I've been, and this is where I want to take you. And people would relate so much with him. I guess he comes from my constituency, and that constituency has a lot of young people. So people would relate to him as a musician, and leave alone, okay, people looked at him as a celebrity because they would see him and get excited. Oh, Bobby won, because they know him as a musician. But his campaign was door to door, getting closer to that woman who is selling tomatoes, who is selling cabbages, and speak to her heart and say, Mom, I understand your problem. And I think there's a solution to your problem. So even coming up with the concept, coming up with the slogan, People Power, again, it was very easy for him because of where he comes from and who he has become as an individual. So many people. And you see, the problem with Uganda is after a long time, everyone understands. You do not, like people in the, when you see, for example, Kenyans are not in Uganda, but you see the overwhelming support Bobi Wine has gotten when he went to Kenya.
Yep.
But they're not Ugandans. But the problems are the same. Poor medical services, poor education system, no service delivery. The problem is the same. On the whole continent. So when you see, it's tomorrow if we see a people power movement forming all over Africa, it's same problems, but it's people opening their mindset. So even people in the villages, they've had the same problem. They know their problems. They know that when we go to that health center, there's no medication. They know if you go to give birth in that health center, there's no medical attendant to take care of you. They know if you go get malaria and go there, you're going to die. They know how many people in the village have died of simple malaria. They know how many women have died giving birth. They know on the village. They know that their roads are bad for the last 20 years. They know they don't have electricity. They know they don't have the proper water system. They know even the last borehole they had 10 years ago is broken. They know where they get water. They know they pick water from a stream where they pick water with the cows. The cows come and drink from the stream, and that's where they get their water. And that's the water they drink. So Ugandans know that, but they've been quiet.
But how are we? I know that right now they're breaking that mindset, but people power still has a long way to go.
Exactly.
It still has, there's so many Ugandans who are rooted in their old ways, who are rooted in tradition, who are conservative to a fault. How are we trying, how is people power trying to get through those people?
They roll right now of everyone who understands people power. This is what I say. We are not paid to speak for people power. I'm not the spokesperson of people power.
Yeah.
But the beauty of a revolution, everyone becomes a spokesman and spokesperson. We do not work for a salary. We work because we want change. It becomes of a communal, everyone wants to add an impact. Everyone wants to say, you know what, as part of the change that came into Uganda. So it is every Ugandan who understands what people power stands for. And why we are breaking it down, so that people do not get a challenge. For example, if I go and meet, if I'm moving in my village and I meet people gathered and their movement, and they say, oh, your people power, so are you taking our movement cards? We have them here. So why I'm addressing this is for the person not to be challenged when such instances come up. Whoever meets this group of people should be able to tell them, no, you can keep your party card. We are not a political party. We are not receiving any cards. We are not telling you to drop your yellow T-shirt. Maybe you love your yellow T-shirt. What are you going to say to a man who loves yellow but wants change?
Yeah.
Exactly. Tell him, keep wearing yellow, but speak the same language I speak. Keep demanding for change as you're wearing your yellow, because you love it. Because what we are trying to do is not colors. It is not about colors. It is about demanding for real things that change a country. Colors are not going to change a country. You can wear white. You wearing white does not take you to heaven. You could end up in hell wearing white. So,
and I think that's where the problem is right now, because I think we remember that shows that the talks we had last time.
Yeah.
So many people are basing people power to be a political party, and they're basing it on the fact that of the color that each party is wearing. Because people power is all red, NRM is all yellow, and another party is all white. So now they're basing.
UPC is red. In fact, there's one time I saw UP. I don't know if it was right, but UP wanted to sue people power. But I'm like, who are you going to sue? This is not a political party. It doesn't have an office. It is not owned by everyone. It is all Ugandans who demand change. Who want
something better, yeah.
And unless you have a patent to red, then that's when you can tell me not to wear red. But you don't own red. You don't have a patent to red.
We have someone out here who's saying, we have an Ismail Helpful who's saying, if you're crying for power, go to the bush and fight for it, and fight for it to stop. We love and support President Museveni, period. How are we going to change that kind of thinking? Because I think people are attacking people power. There's some people who are like rooted in supporting Museveni, and they think people power is the enemy right now.
Yeah, you see what Ugandans need to understand. The Ugandans you have with that mindset, but again, you should know. 85% of the population and more never sent Museveni to the bush to fight. Museveni entirely went to the bush because he was not satisfied with what Obote
was doing at that time.
President Museveni wanted change, but the route to change for him was going to war. But how many Ugandans lost their lives? That's why you see right now people in Nakaseke are still saying my father died, my mother died, my brother died, my entire family was wiped out because of the war and have not benefited anything from your regime. We are not, this is the 21st century. It has been 30 years down the road. Even civilized countries would not want change through fighting.
Yep.
Why are you going to fight from? Uganda doesn't have any bushes anymore to fight from. But again, the mentality of wanting to go and fight is a mentality of people who are shallow, who do not want to use their voices. Because if Uganda is a democratic country, why are people going to the bush to fight? Why
True.
are you fighting? We are telling right now the Ugandans that use your voice, use your vote. Exactly. So why are you going back to the bush to fight? Because exactly when you look at, when Museveni went to the bush, he did it as an individual with a few individuals. I think there were about 27 people who went to the bush because they were not satisfied. And that's why when you hear President Museveni right now saying, I fought for my children, sometimes you don't blame him because he went to the bush. He feels, for him, sometimes he forgets to think that he fought for the liberation, as he called it, for Ugandans. And he feels like this is what he did for him and his children to live comfortable.
I think his own people power is, he has the right mindset in regards to an individual's people power.
Exactly.
But in regards to, I think he forgets his position that you are at the point, if you're president of the country, you are for the people, you're not for yourself.
Exactly.
But I see every single time he says that, as an individual, I understand him and I'm like, 100% I support you. If you go out to do anything, you're doing it for yourself and for your family. You're not doing it for your community. Exactly. You're doing it for that. Exactly. But then I forget that
the lie comes in when you say, oh, I wanted to liberate Ugandans.
Yes, that's where that...
Yes. If you fought, if you're doing this for your children, your family, then you didn't fight for Ugandans.
Yeah.
And that's why right now, people power is coming up and rising because Ugandans feel he did not fight for us. He fought for himself and the few around him. They're very comfortable. They're living a very comfortable life. And the majority of Ugandans are lacking. We are lacking the things he's enjoying, him and a few individuals around him. So that's why we are demanding for change. That's why we are saying enough is enough. We need to see better. We need also to have a share of the national cake. We need to have better roads. You saw what happened over I think 2 days ago. It rained in Kampala. And just a simple downpour, Uganda floods.
Kampala floods. It's our capital city. It floods.
And I was saying, if they were getting, we've just had a Hurricane Michael, just here in USA.
Okay,
if that happened in Uganda, I think the whole town would be dead.
It's getting worse and worse. It's deteriorating somewhere.
I put it up in a post and someone said, oh, you can't blame Museveni for the rain. I'm not blaming him for the rain. I am blaming him for failing to work on the proper drainage system. Kampala City Council has a minister and a mayor and KCCA, the executive director. The problem of Kampala flooding is poor drainage system, period. There is nothing that would make Kampala flood.
They have a budget that's allocated to specifically maintaining the beauty of Kampala, and it should always, we should be improving from now on.
Any reason why Kampala would be flooding. Poor drainage system. They need to work, they need to sit down with city planners and engineers to see what went wrong. How do we put together this drainage? How do we divert the water? And again, it is their role to sensitize Ugandans not to litter. Not to throw litter everywhere, not to throw waste everywhere. Because if you tell me the drainage is blocked, then it is your role as put penalties and let these things work. If you say, or if you find you littering, you're going to pay this much. Again, don't put guys who are going to take bribes. So it is again, who do I put that to? It is the regime. If you fail to put either laws or control or put up systems that work, then you're going to be blamed at all times.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, we're not at the end of the day, you can't shoot daggers at anyone else but the person who's at the head. Because at the head, you are literally responsible for taking anything that's coming your way, anything under your regime is going to be directed at Museveni. Yeah. So he has to take the fire for his regime, for the people who work under him, and people who are doing all these things where making Uganda fall back.
I've had people say, yesterday I was hearing someone say, oh, you're blaming Museveni, but you also need to blame his ministers. Who appoints the ministers?
Yep.
He has been recycling the corrupt ministers all the time. Some of the ministers have been so corrupt. Jim Muhwezi. He was cited in the Gavi Fund. He was among the people who stole Gavi Fund. This was money that was meant to buy medication for people living with HIV in Uganda.
Yeah.
He's among the ministers who was cited for stealing that money. What happened? After a few years, he was recycled and he's a minister again.
Yeah.
So entirely, who do you blame?
You have to blame the regime.
I blame the regime and the president, because if you keep recycling people who have been cited in corruption, then you're the problem.
You're the problem. Because I've seen Trump fire ministers who is, members of state or senators he thinks are incompetent. He fires them on the spot and we make an issue out of it. But he has taken a step to say, you know what, I don't think we need this person anymore. Reasons why, this is this and this and this and this. So Museveni has not done that.
No, he has recycled.
He has recycled, yeah.
Because if someone steals from this office and we recycle them and put them in another office, what do you expect? They are going to steal from there as well. You think they're not going to steal because it's a new office? They're going to. So he's entirely to blame. If you want to clean up your house, entirely clean your house. Don't clean. If I've been stealing from your sitting room, don't put me in the kitchen because there's food. I'll still steal from you. Don't recycle, because this is the same house, but you're recycling people. Or because they were in charge of your vehicles and they used to steal off tires from your vehicle, you say, oh, no. Now I'm taking you from the from managing my transport, I'm putting you in the kitchen. But you buy food in this kitchen. I'm going to take all this food to my house all the time. So if you keep recycling people, again, we are going to blame you. Don't tell, because I'm not going to blame a minister who was appointed by the president and which president knows he's incompetent. So we are going to blame you.
We are right now, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's watching us from wherever you're watching us, we have someone who's saying they're watching from San Diego. I think I've seen a few people who are watching from Qatar. We thank you guys so much for tuning in and adding your voice to this conversation. We read all these comments, and even the people who come in and watch go through all the comment sections so they know what the topic is about. Thank you so much, guys, for always tuning in and supporting and just lending your voice to the topic of today. Right now, I know we were supposed to be handling the 5 W's of people power, and you have let us know why, when, and we have let us know what it is, why it is, but now we want to know the when. When is this going to become more than it is? What's the time period on people power, and what can we...
I'm going to start with who is people power. People power is every Ugandan not satisfied with the service. It is you, the border rider. You went to school, you have a bachelor's degree in whatever you studied.
True.
You couldn't find a job, a decent job for your profession you studied after 3-4 years in school, and then you're doing border. It's not that border is bad, but when we go to school, we study, and these professions are there, but because they're not paying enough. Border is not bad. People make money, but why waste 3 years in school just for you to end up at something that would have, if you dropped out then, you would even be far.
Yeah.
You've been investing in something, money in something you'll never benefit from.
You never benefit from.
So that's why we are saying that people power is all the 500 people whose houses right now are down. I saw women crying. A woman was crying and saying, my house was worth 30 million Uganda shillings. That is, all those are people power. Because if the government of Uganda cannot protect 500 people and protects one landlord over 500 squatters, then there's a problem.
There's a problem somewhere.
There's a problem, because just imagine all these squatters have families. Women were crying. My children are in school. If they come back home, they will have nowhere to sleep. People's stuff were outside. 500 people have been displaced in Uganda right now, here in Kampala, over one landlord. And I guess government would have intervened to see how they can settle the landlord. Or the landlord would pay them and give them time to relocate. To relocate, exactly. Yes. So that's people power. All those women, all the men I saw crying, it is up right now. This is the time to raise your voice and say enough is enough. People power is the woman in Nakasero. Museveni came to Nakasero and blocked off Nakasero for the whole day. You didn't even sell your tomatoes, yet you have school fees to pay. It is right now for you to raise your voice and say enough is enough. Sure. Please don't spoil our businesses. This is when we sell our stuff. Enough is enough. People power is every Ugandan who is sick. You can't access medical services. Who is on the floor in Mulago? Yes, people are dying on the floor in Mulago. You have your, and that's our national hospital. We should be doing better. Mulago has been, already you have Mulago that, is privatized. If Mulago right now you have to pay consultation of 50,000. then how many people can access Mulago, especially the Ugandans living below $1? So people power is every Ugandan. In your community where you live, you cannot access medical services. When you go to wherever, if you want to say doctor, if you want to say nurse, what are they telling you? How much money do you have? Everything has been monetized. Everyone is a thief. Your people power. It is about time you raise your voice. People power is that Ugandan who is either under police custody, but you don't even know what you committed. You do not know what crime you have. But you've been incarcerated. You don't even know exactly where your future is. People power is every, what can I say? And I believe I'm speaking to every Ugandan who is in a state of despair. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. You do not know. Every time, people power is every Ugandan who is insecure. Right now, I saw the minister of Kampala saying she's very insecure about her life because she has gotten letters being threatened she's going to die. You're the minister of Kampala, and you're also fearing. Okay, we all fear death. You don't want to die before your time.
But why should be in a position to fear if this is a position that's worthy of...
Exactly. You talk about cameras being installed in Kampala. You shouldn't be fearing because cameras are all over Kampala if at all they work. So people power is every Ugandan who feels we need to see better than what we see right now.
Who's getting brutalized by the police when the police should be there to protect?
You have so many Ugandans that have left, and we are lucky that we left Uganda, but we're in countries that have democracy, that whether you're a migrant or not, you can speak out and you can be heard, no matter who you are. But I'm talking about our sisters and brothers who are in Saudi Arabia. I've heard stories, they are being raped. They end up with HIV. They end up brutalized. They are burnt. Why? All those are people power. Because no one leaves their country to go, and be brutalized and be beaten and be mistreated. And
nothing has been done about that because now that's still a big issue that's pending. Yes.
But again, people are keeping going there because, they're in a dire state where if I stay home, my family will not eat. Maybe let me try my luck. Maybe things will be different. Maybe I'll be treated different. Maybe I'll pray to God and things get better. So that's the situation you're going through. So every Ugandan, and again, every Ugandan, if you're not partaking of the national cake, leave alone the ministers, the ministers also, those are partaking the national cake. Now, if you're not Bebe Cool, if you're not Catherine Kusasira, then you should be people power. You should be people power. Because, yes, those are partaking of the national cake. If you do not have the privilege of meeting President Museveni, either in Rwachitula or in State House Entebbe, and tell him about your problems, and you get an envelope of 20 million, you should be demanding for change now. You should be, wherever you are, in your smallness, demanding for change now. Because those few definitely don't have any reason for people power. They don't have any reason to raise up their voices because they're comfortable.
So that is the who is people power.
And you talked about when. The time is now. The time is now. It's not even yesterday, it's not even tomorrow. The time is now. If you're going to see any fundamental change, even in 2021, every Ugandan right now who understands the message should be able to spread it to the next person. The time is right now. Let your neighbor understand why we're demanding for change. Let the guy in movement, in NRM, understand, yes, you can be in NRM, you can still have your card, but you deserve change. We we use the same roads that are in a terrible state. We use the same medical services where we cannot get proper services. We don't have schools. We educate, because also NRM people educate their children, but they still end up with no jobs. So
it's only the top part.
And we need to raise our voices even higher, because what Kenyans have done, Kenyans are not even keeping quiet. Kenyans saw what we have, and it is really good. In fact, they are borrowing Bobby Wine from us.
In fact, they're taking charge of Bobby Wine for us. They're taking charge because
they would take him over completely if you're not serious. Because they've understood the message, and it's also a country with a lot of young people, and they want that message to get home because they want the young people to take charge. So the time is now for every Ugandan who wants even to participate in active politics. I know so many people are charged right now. They're like, you know what? You've been my member of parliament for 20 years. You've never done anything. I can take you on. Time is now.
Time is now.
And again, what Ugandans need to understand, this time you do not need money to join active politics. No. You need the proper mindset. You need to
that is very, very true.
The things that help people get them from where they are. Your role right now is to sensitize every Ugandan, to let them know that change is coming. Let them, break it from their shell and raise their voices. Because right now, in 2021, you're going to have guys from the movement because they have money. They're going to be given money. Let them take money on the ground. Wherever they move from, you go back. Because you're speaking to satisfied people. For example,
yes,
you don't have money. And I'm telling you, anyone who wants to join active politics in your smallness, you don't need money. All right now you have to do is listen to this message, understand it better, and start doing your work.
Because they need to realize that their fundamental rights, fundamental rights as a human being, should be enough for you to realize that you are entitled to your life. You're entitled to walk on the streets and not fear for your life. That you demand better health care. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to actually go to school, study all those 21 plus lessons, and actually know that at the end of the day, you at least be able to have a job waiting, or you can find employment somewhere. So they need to realize their fundamental.
Any young person right now, all you need is if you have a senior 6, you pass senior 6, because that's the minimum requirement they require.
Yep.
This is the time right now. You do not have money. Don't tell me I don't have money to join active politics. Be confident, understand what people power is, be ready to change mindset, sensitize people. I know in 2021, politicians from the NRM are going to come with money. Wherever they throw money, if they've been to this village, tomorrow go to that village. People are not going to be asking you for money. They got money yesterday. And you're telling them about exactly the things they want to hear, for starters. And one, the guy who just gave them money has been their member of parliament for 20 years and has not done anything. So you have to capitalize on that. You have to let them know that, you know what, he's giving you money, he's going to do exactly what he did the last time. We expect to see in 2021 so many young people who have been farmers, people who have been border riders, people who have been bricklayers, people who have been in all kinds of simple jobs joining active politics. And that's what we want to see. We want to see young people taking over. So the time is now. Because you can't wait for 2021. Because the time, just imagine if we have a parliament with 50 Chagulanyis, 50 Bobby Wines.
That would be our power to be reckoned with.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And you see, the only way you're going to weaken Museveni and his ideas of clinging onto power is having so many voices of change in parliament. People who are resilient, people who know what exactly they're talking about, and people who are not, who have no price tag.
True.
Yes.
So I'm very happy that we have had our resident activist come on the show and just to take a moment to explain to us something that she's very, very passionate about, because she's passionate about the common Ugandan, the regular, ordinary human being who's suffering, who's entitled to so many things, but they're not getting not even half 1% of that. So we want to go ahead and thank you so much for joining on the show. Just pushing us to actually put this segment around where we have to give people a chance to understand what the concept of people power is, regardless of your political party or your affiliation, regardless of all your beliefs. At the end of the day, people power is for every Ugandan, every African out there who thinks and feels that they deserve better than what they're getting right now from their regime or from their government, from anything that's ruling over on top of their system. They just need to know that that's people power is every person. So we want to take a moment to just say thank you to Robert Kabuye from Boston, who's saying people power, our power. Elizabeth Odoa, as you can imagine, waking up you hear people saying Muzeya abewo yi mukama, and then you put crying emojis, and then you're also saying other poets also coming in. Mike Kingsley saying thank you for watching. We have Harima Smart saying it was Museveni's daughter who evicted those 500 homes. We don't have any evidence, so we cannot correlate with that. But we'll just take it as you said.
But you see the funny thing, 500 people. What I heard from these people when they were crying, they've been to the justice by Jemerere, something like that. She's the one in charge of land wrangles and all that. Their voice would have been heard. If the president right now is running and opening up toilets, running and opening up everything, a borehole on the village, you'll find Museveni there. Museveni would have done a big impact protecting the 500 Ugandans.
The 500 Ugandans right now.
Because, he would have done a big impact protecting the 500 Ugandans. That's a big number of people being evicted from land. These are women. I saw most of them are single mothers. These are women trying to
do their best,
their families. They should have been protected. And that's why we're saying, and I'm telling you, you're going to find people are being, because these people don't tell me 500 people. They came and found land that is empty and encroached on the land and took it over. These are people who bought land. You may find they have tenants, they have agreements. So they bought land from such an individual who has been on the piece of land maybe for 50 years. But because some landlord bought this entire area, that's why they're being displaced right now. So it is important for every Ugandan. Because if we leave it before it has been, oh, it's for Bobby Wine. If you leave it for Bobby Wine, I am happy to see him. By the way, the other day I saw him. I have not seen him smiling. I saw him smiling and I'm like, oh my God, he's getting his life back. So if we leave it for only Bobby Wine, the other neighbors are picking on it. We are going to see movement coming up in Tanzania. Kenyans have already jumped on it.
Yep.
You've seen these young leaders in Kenya. They also want better for Kenya, and they are running away with it. I've seen Molema in South Africa.
Oh, yes.
Also, they want to begin. So you're going to, if we sit back and wait, oh, this is for Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is comfortable. I used to tell people Bobby Wine used to live, despite politics. He's not lacking. He has worked.
He has worked hard.
From grass to grace. So I wouldn't expect, because he would say, oh, he's angry, he wants money, he wants this for himself. He had everything. Every young person would wish to have, he had it. So if he comes up and says, you know what, enough is enough, let's all Ugandans be able to live a life where we are equal, where we deserve of everything, where you don't have kids and be kids, where you can, again, feel safe. Feel safe in a country we all love. So this is a voice for every person. Every person, just raise that voice and let's push it.
Right.
Yeah. Because we could be here talking about people power, but maybe people power, just imagine, that's why I've told you, if you can raise 100 Bobby Wines from every corner, then we are unstoppable.
We're unstoppable.
Yeah.
We are an Africa that's not divided. This conversation is about to get very, very interesting, because I know we have had a few people who are saying that most of the time the Uganda at Crossroads segment is a bit unfair, because, most of the people who are on here are usually supporters of Bobby Wine or are supporters of his policies and stuff like that. But so we want to make this conversation a little more neutral, where we're trying to make it a neutral ground and, try to balance all sides. So we have some people who have been crying and saying, we're unfair in the people who we bring to the show. One person, no one is talking on behalf of NRM, no one is talking on behalf of any other party. But just to keep that in mind, we have a few more guests who are going to be joining us in the next few minutes. And we have one who's a representative of NRM. So if you are out there and you're watching the show and you feel like your voice was not heard at all, you think your policies are not being voiced, or you think that, NRM deserves to have someone else representing it, to make it a fair fight, to make it a fair argument, this is going to be the talk for you. So if you know anyone who is, going to be able to support the views of the next few guests who are coming online, please feel free to share this page and, share the message. And we're going to go to commercial in the next few minutes, just to allow those guests to come in and settle down and, we get this conversation started. Again, the Uganda at Crossroads, this was a segment that's separate from Uganda at Crossroads, where we were trying to just basically talk about people power, enlighten the mind, and just let you know what people power is, what the concept behind people power is, and just to put that information out there for all of you. But in the next few minutes, we're going to be starting our segment of Uganda at the Crossroads. We're going to be handling things that have been happening in the last few days in Uganda, especially the way the government handled the landslide in Bududu, or the officers we saw, Zake's return to Uganda. We are going to be handling those kind of topics, and we want to hear people's opinions from every part of the world, from every corner, from whatever political party you support, from whatever the way you're thinking. We want to hear you guys, and we're going to read all these comments. As you see, my co-host, she has her phone on her, so she reads all the comments you guys write. I read all the comments that you write, and even the guests that are going to be on here are going to be reading all those things, and they're going to reply to every individual if they have time, or they're going to answer questions that will be able to, generally answer the questions that you guys are posing. So do not go away. Make sure you tune in. Ask a friend to join the conversation. Tell us where you're watching us from, so that we can just know who we're hitting, and just keep sharing the page and keep loving on the page. As for now, I'm going to just ask my producer to just go on to commercial, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next few minutes. Bye.
Lwaki olinnyirira olingiriza life eno yange take a plane to Campfire. See what in my jagaleno show. To Campfire. See what it is a sitting no. Campfire. Never to Simba, never to Gatai. Alexander, Mama Sunda to Rene. We talk about relationships, stability, and the cause of diversity. Versatile ways, optimism is got me thinking I should sit to listen. Campfire talk show. Oh, Lwachi uningiriza life eno yange. Kolelera future life is so hard. If it wasn't for this, I would take a plane to Campfire. See what in my jagaleno show. To Campfire. See what it is a sitting no. Campfire. Never to Simba, never to Gatai. Alexander, Mama Sunda to Rene. We talk about relationships, stability, and the cause of diversity. Versatile ways, optimism is got me thinking I should sit to listen. Campfire talk show. Oh, Lwachi uningiriza life eno yange. Kolelera future life is so hard. If it wasn't for this, I would take a plane to Campfire. See what in my jagaleno show. To Campfire. See what it is a sitting no. Campfire. Never to Simba, never to Gatai. Alexander, Mama Sunda to Rene. We talk about relationships, stability, and the cause of diversity. Versatile ways, optimism is got me thinking I should sit to listen. Campfire talk show. Oh, Lwachi uningiriza life eno yange. Kolelera future life is so hard. If it wasn't for this, I would take a plane to Campfire. See what in my jagaleno show. To Campfire. See what it is a sitting no. Campfire. Never to Simba, never to Gatai. Alexander, Mama Sunda to Rene. We talk about relationships, stability, and the cause of diversity. Versatile ways, optimism is got me thinking I should sit to listen. Campfire talk show. Oh, Lwachi uningiriza life eno yange. Kolelera future life is so hard. If it wasn't for this, I would take a plane to Campfire. See what in my jagaleno show. To Campfire. See what it is a sitting no. Campfire.
right, for everyone who has, who have kept waiting for such a long time, thank you again. This is Alex, your host with the mostest, and I am presenting Uganda at the Crossroads. Now, as I told you earlier, we're making this conversation a little more equal, right? We have had in the last few weeks, we've had only people who are talking about people power, people voicing their opinions, and we've been putting NRM on blast, we've been putting all the other positions on blast, we've been putting a lot of Museveni himself on blast. So we've had a chance of getting someone who's a staunch supporter and activist of NRM and what it represents. And in the light of being, we want to hear his opinion. He must love NRM for a reason. He must love this regime for a reason. And we want to hear from him and understand what his views are on the matters I've been taking, that have been, we've been talking about the last few weeks. We want to just give him a chance to explain to us what is so great. And then we want him to talk about the situation, what is happening, why are people so discontented with NRM as a party, with Museveni as a president, and just the general feel of the country right now. Keep in mind, please, we're keeping this conversation clean for now. So whatever we are talking about, please talk about issues that are happening right now in Uganda. We do not allow any attacking on any individual who's here right now and is talking about issues at hand. Because all of us, at the end of the day, we ultimately want to see a better Uganda and we want to see a better Africa. And we want to see each other develop in a better way than they're doing right now. So with that in mind, I'm going to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, what they're going to be talking about, in what stature they're talking about any of the situations that are happening in Uganda, so that we can keep this conversation going. I already have our resident activist, Sarah Bakanansa, on standby. She's already continuing with this conversation. And I think to my left, to my right, you already know Hillary, who's also another resident activist right now, representing people power and the youth right now that are in the diaspora, and maybe the youth out there. So if you think this is a conversation that you want to be a part of, please, please, please share the page. Call your friends over, invite your family, your friends, your colleagues, anyone you think will be interested in this conversation, and let's get it moving. So, to my right, I'm going to start with introductions to my right, and then we're going to work our way forward, and then we can continue with this conversation.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to be invited on this wonderful talk show, Uganda at Crossroads. My name is Seguya Hillary Innocent Taylor. And I send greetings to all Ugandans who are watching us from different parts of the world. Most importantly, Ugandans who are watching from our own country, Uganda. My condolences to those who lost, relatives and family members in Bududa because of the landslide. We stand with you, and this is a very hard time for our country. I'd like also to say that we stand with all Ugandans who are, working so hard to, gain something from this economy that is so hard under the leadership of dictator General Kaguta Museveni. But I would like to tell you that very soon hope is coming, and as we say that Charinga, 20th of October, we are going to be in Nambole Stadium. Let's be there and fill up the stadium for our support to our President, His Excellency Bobby Wine.
I'll come back to that, but let's continue. Let's continue with the gentleman on your right.
Thank you, Alex. I'm so humbled and honored to be invited on this show. I've always been watching and keeping an eye on whatever is going on here in the US and back home in Uganda. I go by the names of Muganga Regan. I'm a youth activist and a human rights activist for the youth. I've represented Uganda at the United Nations. So I'm here to talk about the new formation that has just split away from the FDC. Also my heartfelt condolences to the people of Bududa. We stand with you. But if you're having a junta in power, everything seems to go wrong. But we still pray that one day God is going to set us free.
All right.
My name is Richard Mukasa. I'm a lawyer here in the United States. I am often off in Uganda. I'm Ugandan here, but I've lived here for 20 years. And I am sending my condolences to the people who lost their relatives in Bududa, and we hope God We'll look at them with mercy wherever they may be. And I hope our government will come in and help like they have been doing all this time. And I'm glad to meet you guys.
Again, good afternoon to everyone living in the in USA, and it's basically good evening to Ugandans back home. Again, I'm here. We've just finished up with me breaking down people power and what it means and who is people power. And today it's really exciting. I'm glad to be sitting here with those that support NRM but living abroad. So basically, it will be very interesting for me to get to know why they had to run away from the comfort of Uganda to living to the comfort of United States. I'll be glad to hear that. But again, for me, I'm saddened, and I'm standing with the Ugandans, the 500 plus Ugandans who have lost their homes in Lusanja. It's really sad that the government was not able to protect these mothers, fathers, and all those people who have no home right now. And we do not have functional organization because right now Red Cross would be finding them where to stay. But we don't have such things happening in Uganda, so it's really tough. I stand with these people, but it's really sad to live in a country where Ugandans are treated like the fourth-class citizens.
As you can see, the conversation is getting a little bit heated before it even begins. So I'm going to take this moment and just whatever questions we're going to start with, I want to just start with, because we have always been talking about people power for the last few weeks. And, when the show started, the segment started, it has been always people power this, people power that. So I'm going to give a chance to Mr. Richard Mukasa to start to talk first, to explain his point of view, give us his point of view in regards to NRM and Museveni and, the current regime, and just to give us a brief introduction of why he's still an active member and what he supports, what the values are, and just to explain to us where his stand is, and then we'll follow that with the gentleman from the new formation group. That's okay. We're going to have a chance to just Mugisha Muntu. I didn't know that the name was already given out, so that's why I'm finding it a bit difficult. But bear with me. So, Mr. Mukasa, we're going to start with you. What is your in regards to what you have heard about people power, about people raining a lot of shade on NRM, on Museveni himself? What do you have to say in support of him and the government? Do you see any discontentment? Are you yourself seeing situations where you yourself are unsatisfied with the current regime? Are you supporting it? Are you in for the fact that you want him to retire? It's time, or do you see yourself being an Museveni supporter under NRM for the next few years to come?
All right. Uganda, to me, is not at crossroads the way you guys think. Because we have mechanisms in place to solve these problems. We went into constitutional making. We put there mechanisms for changing the constitution. And those mechanisms have never been abrogated. They have been followed. And
what mechanisms are in place? If you're giving us an example, if you're telling us about something, give us an example.
I'm giving an example. The U.S. Constitution has 27 amendments. And one of them made people of your skin color citizens. They were half people. According to the law, the constitutional ruling in 1897, the Jack Great case, a black man was a half man. And when they made the Constitution of the United States, the Civil Rights Amendment, the 13th Amendment made black people citizens, and they should be the First Amendment gives you the right to the freedoms you have, civil rights and whatever. So they put in place mechanisms for changing the U.S. Constitution. One, which was if 3/4 of the states came together and did whatever, or if members of the House decided they would come together, 2/3 of the members of the House. The same thing happens in Uganda. You can have a referendum, or the people in the House, 2/3 of the people in the House can change the constitution, and they did it. So there are mechanisms in place which can help the country change the constitution if people are not satisfied. Now, when I see this groundswell of people power, I think these are the same people who have been following Besigye. The same people, the young people, they move from Sebagala, they go to Sebana, they go to Sebagala, Sebana, Besigye. Now
the people following Besigye, are you talking about the people in San Diego, in New York, in UK? Are those the same people who followed Besigye and Sebagala? That's the same. Because I want to clarify, I have not seen those people in times of Besigye standing up. I haven't seen that number of people standing up. Yeah. Clearly, if we had seen that, I think Besigye by now would be in a. But I haven't seen those people come up the way they have risen up.
There's a misconception, especially among the young people. The misconception is that if there is a groundswell in the cities, in the urban areas, Uganda has 40 million people. 40 million people. How many people live in the towns? If you put together 1 million people, have you ever seen a rally of 1 million people? Have you ever seen anybody put together 1 million people? Do you know what is 1 million people? But Uganda has 40 million people.
And Kampala has 11 million people.
Ma'am, I'm talking.
Okay.
Uganda has 12 million voters. By next time, maybe there will be 15, maybe 14. But nobody has ever put up a rally of 1 million people. So most of the voters are not in the towns. So you could see the groundswell in the cities. You see wherever you go in the towns. But the people who vote are in the villages. And this is where I fear Muntu, because Muntu can help the people power, people organize. But before you guys come up with the concept of coming to the people in the villages, you are here just talking bored.
Oh, no, I'm not talking bored. The reason why I'm supporting the people power is because I sit here, or I sit at home, or I sit with my mother, I sit with whoever, and I see a documentary that shows people in Buddha, they don't even have a small bridge. I see a school that's still made with wood, and I see some of it is broken. And I'm seeing kids going to school with no shoes on. So if you're supporting a regime that is not catering to those little things that I'm seeing happening, that by now, after 33 years, we should be doing better somehow. That's not just a groundswell of just people making noise. To me, that's something is lacking somewhere. And I have no one to blame except the regime that we put in power. And it's saying that, oh, those people in the villages who have voted you in power are not seeing any change. You should not be having UPE. That's not even UPE, right? We should not be having schools that are in that condition.
So you want me to answer?
Pardon?
You want me to answer? You ask.
Yes, but I want you to also clarify, and just to see where my point is coming from.
Okay, I want to clarify. How many schools have we built? The people, the ordinary person in the street, forget about you activists. You activists have this, what do I call it? Have this abstract understanding of people's personal issues. You understand democracy. The person in the village understands going to a school, going to a clinic, going to the road, marketing his produce. These are the basic things the people in the villages want. But you, the activists, the people who want abstract things like democracy, somebody doesn't, and people don't eat democracy.
I don't think any of these guys, if I allow any of these guys to speak right now, I don't think anyone has.
You will have your chance.
No,
can I respond a little bit?
Something?
They will have their chance. I will keep quiet.
But before we go further,
You will have your chance. You will. No, can you?
Because you mentioned very important things, and
Can they write
down?
down?
Okay.
Can they write down?
So let him follow.
They're using my time.
Let me have you.
Don't use my time.
So let me have him finish. Let me have him finish, and then we can have someone interject.
with the issue of
It's not a fight.
Right, but let him finish. Let him finish what he was trying to say.
Just cool down. Take your time. So the activists understand democracy in the abstract. Okay? So when you start saying this is a dictatorship, and the person in the village goes to the ballot box, elects the MP, the person they elected is the MP of their area, they say Bobby Wine was elected, the people in Chadondo, they will say, yes, Bobby Wine is our man. We love him. Yes, yes, yes. He's our MP, he's a honorable. And then you tell them Museveni is a dictator. People will not understand you. Why would they not understand you? The person they elected is in the office. You understand what I mean? So what you guys have failed to do is to explain to the people what you mean. When you say he's a dictator, when they elect him. And I have told you, what the NRM has done, many of you, I'm sorry, I'm going to expose what the NRM has done here so that you guys may realize where your mistakes are.
Okay. That's what we want. That's we want someone to give a light.
What the NRM has done is they took kids to school from less than 1 million people who used to go to school before 1995 when UPE started to 8 million kids today. The parent doesn't have to go to his pocket to take the kids to school. Me growing up, I'm older than all of you guys here. People who used to go to school were the privileged few. On my village where I grew up in Bukoto, I was one of, in Bukoto village, not like Bukoto White Flats in Kampala. I was the first person who graduated from Makerere University. Because people never used to go to school. So when people go to these villages, do you understand what I'm saying? They get a chance to go to school. What you guys talk about, you talk about Mulago. Mulago can barely treat 1 million people. Uganda has 40. And what the NRM did, they took the health center down to the Muluka level, to the county level, to the sub-county level. So somebody can find their aspirin, they can find their this snake bite medicine, they find their these antiseptics, stuff like that. The simple stuff an ordinary person is looking for. You are digging, you cut your foot, you go to the clinic, you get an antibiotics, and then you get aspirin when you have fever, and then they give them these the nets. These are the basic things the peasant is looking for. But because the NRM is a peasant party.
I am going to cut you off right there so that we can hear views from other people.
I would like to respond to him.
Because Sarah, you've been talking the whole entire time. I want Regan.
You know why I want to respond to him?
But give us time, Sarah. So let me start with Regan so that you can hear. This is a new party that you're under Mugisha Muntu, and you're representing that party as an individual. Yes. We want to hear your view in regards to...
Before I even talk about the new formation and what we stand for and what we intend to do for Uganda, I'll first respond to my comrade here. We are into discussion, but we want to use calmness and open-mindedness. The problem with NRM people is they try to smear each and everything. They try to overturn the facts. The first statement he started with, he said, these are the guys who have been supporting Sebagala, who have supported Besije, and so and so. But by the time of Sebagala, I was in primary school. And so he was. I was not yet a voter. So that is misinformation. Like his starting point was obviously misinformation. So that is the problem we have with NRM. I did physics in school. We don't disregard that NRM has done something. But in physics, work done is time, distance, is distance over time to get the work you've done. We give you the distance you've covered and the time you've spent. So NRM might have done something, but under what time? This junta has been in power for 32 years and is talking about having aspirin in a village town.
Can I want, no, you know what, like I'm seated next to him and I'm fired up.
Okay,
yes, okay. No, I still have to talk about new formation, right?
Okay. Yep. We want you to first handle that conversation because
you know why I'm fired up? He started with the Constitution, which Constitution has just been ripped. A Constitution that was amended just to fit one individual just because he had run out of age. And you're talking of, oh, Uganda has a constitution or strategies. A constitution has just been ripped just to accommodate one individual.
One person.
If really Museveni respect the constitution of Uganda, why didn't he let the constitution stand? Member of parliament were paid. They were paid 5 million each to change the constitution. You must be having that information. I am going to take him back for where he said Ugandans who vote for Museveni are in the village. I was so lucky before I moved to this country, I worked with USAID. And my role, I worked with USAID and I worked in the villages. I used to be a community outreach officer. And I know every part of the village of Uganda. If you're saying, you're trying to paint and say that Ugandans in the villages are living in a very comfortable, happy life, that they do not need change. Mr. Mukasa, it is so absurd that you're seated here with young people, because you said you're not of our age, with young people who have only seen one president. I believe you saw other presidents. I believe all of us have seen only one president.
Bad president.
Because I've not seen any bad president, I don't have anyone to compare with. For me, the worst I've seen is Museveni. I've not seen any other. It is so absurd to sit here and you're making Ugandans who live in the village look like they are comfortable. I have been to the deepest parts of the village where Ugandans go have only one meal, where children still study under trees, in what you call UPE. I have family members who are teachers in UPE. I have one family member. She's a teacher under UPE, not in a school far away from Kampala, but she's earning 300,000 as a teacher of UPE, and her son is paying over 3 million in tuition, studying in university. What are you talking about? Ugandans have had a chance to study. The children of UPE right now cannot even express themselves and construct a sentence because teachers are never in classes. Look at the rates of when results come out, UPE results come back. How are the children under UPE performing? The schools that are performing well are private students. Parents can no longer take their children to classes where there are no teachers, where they are studying under trees. What are you talking about? If you're making Ugandans look like all Ugandans, us who are talking about change, are the Ugandans in the city, Ugandans in the villages are comfortable. These Ugandans are living below $1. These Ugandans go without a meal. These Ugandans, women are dying while giving birth.
I'm going to cut you off, and I'm giving Hillary a chance to finish, and then we can go back to you. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that at least we hear from every side, and then we can tackle another situation. So Hillary, just...
Yes, it's so...
I'm going to ask our producer to work on the mic right now.
Yes, it's so flabbergasting to hear my brother, Mukasa Richard, support the government, yet we've seen the facts on the ground that the economy is not working for people. He has talked about, as Sarah said, the constitution of Uganda, but I would like to remind you that if you know the history of Uganda, you're talking about amending the constitution. When Obote amended the constitution, he was fulfilling his selfish agendas. And again, we are seeing also Museveni doing the same thing. Because the first time when Museveni amended the constitution, he was removing the term limits. So from removing the term limits, he saw that it was not enough. So in 2017, he said, now let me remove the age limit. So again, he's thinking about his selfish, personal interests. So what kind of president is he, and you think that he's working for Ugandans? He's working for only his, people in NRM and his family. So such leaders, we believe that they are not democratic, because if you remember the 10-point program that your government, NRM, came up with in 1986, the issue number one was we were talking about was democracy. So today we are seeing that you are not, I don't know what's...
Okay. Sorry, you can use this one.
All right, so, all right, that's better. So I'm sorry about that for the viewers. So I was saying that with the NRM 10-point program, the number one point was talking about democracy, restoring democracy in our country. But when it came to 2002, we saw that the same government of Mr. Museveni changed the order of 10-point programs. So democracy moved from number 1 to number 10. So we've seen that this president, dictator, General Kaguta Museveni, who has been in office for 32 years, he has raped our constitution every now and then. He has been bribing parliamentarians. Remember when they were amending the constitution, each parliamentarian was given $20 million just to vote for yes to amend the constitution. And we are saying enough is enough. We can't have a leader who is not thinking about the future of our country. But the leader we have today is thinking about his sustenance in office. And we're saying, which kind of democracy is this? Because for you, Mukasa, you've been in the US for over a decade. You see the fruits of democracy. And you can tell me that, yes, indeed, after 2 terms, whether you're good or you're bad, you're going to leave the US office. You saw Bush came, then he left. You saw Obama serve 2 terms, he left. How about Mr. Museveni? 32 years and you think that's not enough? That's enough. Now look at other dictators like in Cameroon. Right now they are battling another dictator called Biya. Biya has been in office since 1982. But he has failed the economy. The problems that we are having in Uganda, they're the same problems Cameroonians are suffering from. And if you look at other dictators like Robert Mugabe, who was also removed from office in a very embarrassing way, they are having the same problems of dictators. Go to Ivory Coast. Mr. Mukasa, you started about Laurent Gbagbo with his policies. He became a dictator. He was put out of office. Go to the Gambia. You heard about Yahya Jammeh. He was a dictator. He thought he has all the powers. He believed that he's going to rule the Gambia for 1 billion years. But the Gambia, a small country of less than 10 million people, they were able to rise up and remove the dictator from office. So what capacity or what audacity do you think that Mr. Museveni is going to die in power? Let's not come here and lie to the entire nation that is watching that Mr. Museveni is the supreme. He thinks it's above the constitution. He thinks that the rest of us have no future or have no vision for our country. That's wrong. Then you talked about the issue of education, that Mr. Museveni has educated our children or our sisters or brothers. I want to tell you that the education you're talking about is of poor quality. Today, tell me, how many products of universal primary education are successful today? There is none. You're talking about, yes, you're telling us, look,
we don't have anyone that you can talk about.
Look at the government of Mr. Museveni. Tell me this person was a product of UPE.
Yep, any success stories that we could hear.
Those are the stories we want. Then we can say, yes, we see the proofs of, the fruits of this program. But again, you're saying that they're funding people. I can tell you that, this government has failed us. See, our parents, they are like in your age brackets. They used to tell us that the governments before, like during the regime of Obote, they used to pay for their tuition, even at the university. By the time they finished university, most of them had jobs. So they couldn't line up for jobs after graduating.
Sure.
But today, in Museveni's economy era, we see that graduates are suffering. They're going on streets, spending 5 years looking for a job. Then most of them are going to the Middle East and they're doing domestic jobs. A student who graduated from medicine, you failed to get a job in Mulago Hospital, you failed to get a job in Mbale Hospital, and you go to Dubai, you go to Bahrain, and you're doing a security job. Then what kind of president is this? So stop lying to us.
I'm going to cut you off.
Last week, the issue of your health is lying to us that people go to health centers and they get access to health facilities.
Okay.
But we've seen mothers who are complaining, our sisters and brothers who are suffering from HIV/AIDS. They can't even access aspirin you're talking about in health centers. They can't get ampicillin or ARVs. And you are saying, the medicines are there in hospitals.
Okay, so
You've seen hospitals like Mulago.
So Hillary, I'm going to cut you off because I think those are things that we have already assessed that those are problems in Uganda.
Can I say
so
a thing or two?
just one thing, and then we can continue because I have something I have to.
I think each and everything that we are saying here, that here is saying, that Sarah is saying, that Bobby Wine has said, that Bestia has said, the guys in NRM do know these things. But the issue is they are disconnected from reality.
Exactly.
They just want to make a rosy Uganda, but they really know what's going on. They know that they are, each and everything that we are talking about, no medicine, no what, they know. So what we have to put our energies on now, what you have to talk about now is how we get this junta out of Uganda. Because even if you bring who from the NRM, he's going to talk like him. He sounds more like Ofono Pondo.
and you will sound more like each and everybody from Vienna. They will say the same thing.
But you see, the problem I get from Ugandans living abroad is a person who is comfortable and satisfied with what Museveni has done, but he lives abroad. What are you doing abroad? Why aren't you living in the rosy situation of Uganda? Because I'm telling you, the many Ugandans, us who are living abroad, we are not comfortable. We've run away because of human rights. We've run away. Yes.
You are not supposed to swamp me. I am one defending
No,
myself.
but 33 years you should be able to defend yourself.
Okay. If I'm to defend myself, you cannot just swamp me. And he talks, they talk me. It's that they're talking.
No, you're going to talk, but let me finish my point.
She just finished. You took it to her, and then took it to him, and then you went back to him.
So I'm gonna bring this back. I'm gonna bring this back because I want us to handle one particular topic at a time.
Yes.
We have realized that there's so many inadequacies in NRM, and he's defending NRM as I say.
Yeah.
So right now, I want to bring us back to the topic. One, we're going to handle, because all of you already, you're versed with whatever is happening in Uganda, just like he has voiced out so well. NRM knows the problems. FDC knows the problems. The new formation, they know what the problems in Uganda are. But we just want to hear your take on the matter. So right now, we have had from Sarah Bakanasa in regards to all those. We have had from Hillary. So I'm going to isolate the two of you because I want to hear your views on what is happening. Regan, I'm going to ask you in regards to what he's going to say, and you're going to just reply in response to what he's going to say. So mainly, the reason why everyone is swamping on you, and I want to just make this clear, they're not swamping on you because, but they've had all this contention for so long. So you're the only person who right now is standing up and saying, you guys, NRM is not so bad.
But so, he's not living in the comfort of Uganda.
And I agree that they have a right to swamp on me, but they have given me a chance
to defend yourself, which is where we're going to just put some limits. So right now, let's leave that. We know all the problems in Uganda. You guys who are watching us, you know the problems in Uganda. We just want to hear someone say, okay, we want someone to explain on behalf of NRM, on behalf of his beliefs, what is happening. So Mr. Richard Mukasa, you as a representative of NRM, as an activist of NRM, you saw what happened a few weeks ago. The age limit was taken away. In your own words, you as a gentleman living in the diaspora, you as a gentleman who goes back to Uganda and does your own business, do you think that was something that should have been done? Do you support NRM's move to take away the age limit? As we are all Ugandans and we're trying to respect the constitution and why it was made, why is there a change like this happening? Especially when we have had a president who has been there over 33 years. We should be having new blood coming in every single time. You who's representing, are you comfortable with the fact that this happened? Are you saying, yes, NRM should have done this even sooner? Or what is your point? What is your point on the matter, you as an NRM activist? So let us come from there.
There are a few things you have to understand. That every organization has minimum standards they follow. They say if you break this, then you are no longer part of us, right? But the NRM has its programs, which I follow. There are some things they do I do not agree with, but I am not the majority. Who am I to speak for them? If the majority in the NRM decide they want President Museveni, that he's the one who is going to score meaning he's the one who's going to win the election, they decide to put him back. And by putting him back, they decide that if he's not coming next time, we might lose. So what do we do as a majority? Let us amend the constitution to make sure we keep, because these organizations are not made to be debating clubs. They are not meant to be scouts. They are meant to be ruling parties. That's why the formation and the FDC and the people power, they want power, right? So if we decide the person who's going to score for us, our strikers, Museveni, and I may disagree with them, but collective responsibility makes me part of that. You know what I mean? So if the majority decided, because personally I think I have the ideological impetus and standing to be able to do what the president, the vision the president has. I think I do. And I think there are some people who can do that. The problem is, if the NRM looked through the people they had, and they saw that the president is the only one who is capable of scoring in the political circumstances that prevailed, they decided to put the president back. I may not want him because I think the president should retire. That's my view. But I support the NRM. And the president has done very well. It is debatable. We can debate all until the cows come home. But the president has performed wonders to me. But I think it's time for him to retire. But if the president, the NRM decides that this is the man who's going to take us to the promised land, and they overwhelm me with their votes, who am I to say no?
All I'm hearing is you're discontented with this particular...
No, I am not discontented.
Because I'm saying, no, I am asking you your views as an NRM activist. I'm not asking you to talk on behalf of NRM, because we don't know the views of all the many.
Exactly.
So in this particular topic, you're saying, who am I? Who are you? Me, I'm okay. I'm not hearing that, yes, I was okay with this choice. I think it was a good choice. I think they should move forward with this. I'm hearing you say that NRM made a decision, the majority spoke, but you yourself sound like you're not happy with that decision. Am I the only person hearing this, or I'm not?
I cannot divorce myself from the actions of the party. Once the party decides that this is the position, I go with what the majority decides.
Okay.
So I am not obliged, I am not obliged to
like that decision,
to put my opinion on them. Because we go in there and debate, and the delegates decide that what do we guys want? We said, this is the guy. Whatever my personal feeling.
What is your personal feeling? Because that's what I want to know. That's why I'm here listening. When we began
this conversation, I told you I don't want to personalize anything. This lady is asking me personal questions. I will not answer them and address them. Because this is about Uganda. It is not about me. It is about Uganda. So I'm not going to tell you what I do here or what I do in Uganda. Why am I here? I will not tell you. That is my personal business.
You said you said NRM had the majority ruled. Yes. Do you think this ruling was in favor of the people? Do you think this is what they needed at this point in time when Uganda is suffering so much? Removing the age limit.
When
do you think it was a sound?
Uganda is suffering so much, you have no idea. Because hold on a minute. I have seen Uganda a failed state before. I have seen Uganda when it was a failed state before. So when you say Uganda is suffering so much, maybe, yes, there are people suffering, yes, but we are far better than where we have ever been.
But we are not where we should be. We're not where we should be. In regards to Rwanda and all the other countries that were behind us.
No, there is no, listen to me. I hear you, all of you bringing examples. Korea by 1963 was with Uganda, and they were saying, then Korea is this way. Hey, there are two things. By 1963, Korea had 4,000 engineers. Uganda had 3. Okay? And by Korea at that time received American money to be where it is today. America invested in Korea. Has America ever brought any money to Uganda? It is China bringing money to Uganda right now. All the money you see in China, it is the truth.
No, that's a lie.
It's not. So you will answer me, you will have your chance. They are massively invested in China. All the money you see in China is American money. All the money you see in Korea is American money. That's why North Korea, there are two people. North Korea is a hermit, backward state. South Korea is American money. So those, I know you are not, you don't know these things. I don't blame you.
No, actually, we do.
Yeah,
we do know this thing because because there's so.
If you know these things, why do you say lie?
So I want to.
Korean money is American.
I'm going to give Regan. I'm going to give Regan a chance to ask you
Korean money is American money. That's why you have two people.
So I'm going to cut you.
The same people, North and South. When the North went with China, the South went with America. America put money down South. The North is a hermit state.
All the countries in the world are receiving aid or help from every other country outside there.
No,
so I want to work on Uganda as a country.
Listen, there's a difference between aid and investment. China doesn't receive aid from America. It receives investment. Uganda doesn't receive aid from China. It receives investment. Investment will grow our economies. It's not aid.
We have someone.
That's why.
So before you continue,
let me finish. That's why I look at these young men. I think they are not ready to take over Uganda.
But
because
Richard,
they are not ideological institutes.
Okay, Richard, what I asked you in the beginning was age limit. That's what I asked.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm hearing North Korea,
Yes.
South Korea,
Because
America. They don't, right now, I don't, we are talking about Uganda at the crossroads.
I've
And
told
right
you
now, our crossroad right now
age limit.
is an age limit.
Yes.
So we have someone saying, Moses Mosem is saying, you can't even talk about the age limit because you know what they did was wrong.
I
So
can
you're dodging the
explain.
question.
I can
So I want
I'm
you.
not dodging it. Let me.
I'm asking.
Let me confront it. The NRM has people's representatives. It has the majority of the people's representatives. So these people go to their villages, they talk to their people, they come to Kampala and put forward what their people sent them out there to do. So these people did what their people told them to do. And who am I, poor Richard?
Which people are you talking about? Told
The
them?
representatives who changed the constitution.
They changed it because which people told them to change?
Their constituents.
So the constituents of Uganda went and told their representative
Yes.
that we need the age limit removed because we want to see more of Museveni.
No,
I want you
Okay,
I want you to clarify
let
what you
me
just.
finish her
I want you
question.
to clarify
Let me
your
finish that,
statement
then you
again.
go. Hey, people have reasons, various reasons why they do certain things. It could be maybe they want older people to take leadership, or they want Museveni as Museveni. So I don't know why their representatives ask them to do these things.
Was that recorded in any way? Is there evidence that says that
Remember, people were given money to go and consult. You remember that? You don't remember. I
No,
know.
but
right?
So I know, but that is
Selective
to
memory.
vote yes.
Selective
Okay.
memory,
To
right?
vote yes. To
No,
vote
no,
yes.
not to vote.
That was
Before, hold on a minute. The parliament passed money. I saw your Mr. Bobby Wine bringing the money back. You remember that? Bobby Wine brought the money
Because
back.
he refused to be bribed.
Moderator.
So I'm also.
Moderator,
So I'm
did
gonna.
you see-
So okay. So
did
in
you see Bobby Wine bringing the money back?
yes.
Yeah, so that means they were given money to consult their constituencies. Their constituencies told them what to do. Who am I to say, no, they were not told that? Because if they did what the constituents never told them to do, they're going to vote them out next time. And next time, you will get the constitutional return to where you want it.
Okay, I'm going to give Regan a chance to
Thank
reply
you.
to all that you've said. And then, Regan, you have a chance to ask any of the guys who are here to ask a question.
Did I address your question?
I'll start by asking you this. Can you please have the microphone? This is just about you, Mr. Mukasa.
Yes.
Do you think you, not NRM, not the representative, do you think it was okay to change the constitution? This is on a personal level. You, personal.
On the personal level, I will always follow. Listen to me. My personal decision will always be what the majority people decide. That's
Then
what
you
a
have
de-
no mind of
that's,
yourself.
Okay,
no, that's
so-
what a
No, but then-
Democrat
So
does.
that's what I
Then
wanted.
you don't think for yourself.
So that's what I wanted. So viewers, you see that he and the rest in NRM
They don't
don't
think.
do what their consciousness tells them. They don't do what the people on the ground want. They do what the boss wants. That's why I said that we are having a junta. We are having a person who gets what he wants when he wants, regardless of what. So he's NRM, but he's not taking his consciousness. He's talking about the majority. So I think we are getting this right. That he also knows that it was not right. But because there is somebody who wants to be president till he dies, he will do everything to stay in power. So everybody in NRM will try to talk everything. You see, he has been talking about Korea, what. He's looking for answers to justify the wrong thing. And that's the biggest problem that the government we have in power has. They look for each and everything around to justify the wrongs they do. We know what happens during elections. You see the military and whatever going on to the streets. You see the intimidation that goes on. So they will do each and everything to justify what they do. We know what happens in the ballot boxes. That it's not the will of the people that goes through. It's the will of the president. And that's what happens now and then.
So
Please, Allow me,
You're
moderator.
burning to.
Yeah, moderator, because you know it is really so disheartening when we sit with people we should learn from. Mr. Mukasa said, no, I'm not going to personalize, but because the things you talk, I'm trying to respond the things you talked about. No.
She's responding to. She's responding to all the things that the facts that you've placed on ground.
You shouldn't be scared. 33 years of you speaking, you should have all the confidence to speak.
Yeah, but let's give her a chance and see if it goes in any quarter that's not allowed. We'll cut it off.
You shouldn't be scared.
Don't talk about me. Don't talk about it.
30, I'm not talking about you. 33 years of President Museveni. I expect the NRM guys to have more confidence than us who have been quiet. Okay, that's excellent. When you talk about the will of the majority, and we see members of parliament are given 5 million, I don't see why majority have to be paid. If you really wanted to bring this back to the people of Ugandans to decide it, there would have been a referendum. I guess all the money you give
money shouldn't have been involved.
Yes, money you should have put. Should have put money down on the ground for a referendum to see what are the Ugandans saying. But if a few individuals, maybe 200, 300 MPs, have to decide for the majority of Ugandans, and you say, what the majority of the Ugandans decide, that's what we are going to decide, go with, a majority of the MPs. And it is really so absurd. I sit here and you say, America has not given Uganda any money. We know very well the health sector of Uganda is standing on purely money coming from America. If it wasn't for America, many Ugandans would be dead with HIV. America has put money in prevention. America has put money in cure, in all the medication. But it's so absurd when you talk about China right now giving investments, yet Zambia right now is being taken over by China. China gives loans. It is so absurd when you sit here and talk about such things and you're talking to young minds who are read. We read and understand this. These things no longer have, you're older, you understand better. China right now is taking over. It has taken over the national electricity body of Zambia. It has taken over the airport of Zambia because China gives loans. If you fail to pay, they take over. We do not know if we continue like this where Uganda is going to be. We could wake up tomorrow when China has taken over Uganda and we start all speaking Chinese. When China has taken over everything in Uganda. So when you talk about people who have been, yes, America, the health sector of Uganda entirely depends on money coming in. The military sector of Uganda. Uganda receives most of 90% of their budget in the military comes from the United States, which China has not done. And again, it's so absurd when we see people like Mr. Mukasa sitting here and talking about, you haven't seen bad leaders. Yes, 85% of Ugandans, apart from you seated here, you've seen the bad leaders. You've seen the Obote, the Amin, we haven't. And that's why we are saying we deserve change. You're not going to describe to us what we've not seen. You do not going to take us back now you can sleep.
I also think that we have seen, as much as people have seen bad leaders, the youth right now have had a chance of seeing great leadership. They have had a chance to compare and say, why are we not here?
They have nothing.
So you cannot keep telling us that bad leadership, okay, you guys, we should be happy because you're not even, it's not as bad as it should be.
Madam,
because at the end of the day, that's what you're saying.
You to be happy. You said,
in the long run, you're saying.
I was answering your question.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to explain is, you can compare because you saw Amin, you saw Bote. We have nothing to compare to because we've only seen President Museveni. Ever since our minds were open to understanding, the president who was in power was President Museveni. So we have no one to compare to. So that's why we deserve all the change we need. You have a chance, you've been able to see change. We are saying we want change because we have no one else to compare to President Museveni because we've seen no other than President Museveni.
Sure.
So when you sit here, don't dismiss us and say all these young people are in a bubble. Yes, we are in a bubble we want to break because we deserve all the change we need. And when you sit here and say all these young people belong to FDC, I have never belonged to any party in my entire life. When I was in school when people were welcoming Haja Gambi, we were in school. And I'm telling you, you cannot put us in that bubble. Right now, we are all talking people power because it's not a political party. Because I had him trying to make make people power look like a political party. We are all saying, we are opening up our mind to speak because it's a mindset, and we are saying we all deserve change. So it is really unfair for someone who has seen change and is denying us the chance to see change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give a chance to Hillary right now to phrase if there's any question that you've been curious about in regards to NRM or even the new formation party that you want to pose. Please, this is your chance. Ask it, and then let's hear what the answer is going to be.
You see, historians, we have this quote that history can be made, but it can't be edited. So, however much we're not there in 1980s or 1970s or 1960s, we studied about the history of our country. We are very informed about what happened in the 60s, during Obote 1, during Obote 2, during Amin, during Tito Okello Tour, even the time when 7 came into power on 26th January 1986. So we know the history. And we can still benchmark the statistics of the past with the current situation. So today, Uganda, Mr. Mukasa, I don't know if you know this, for your information, Uganda has the second youngest population in the world today, after Nigeria.
No,
55.
after Gambia.
No, Nigeria.
Gambia.
Take
No,
it from me.
you don't have the
It's
information.
after Nigeria.
Gambia, can you Google it?
Gambia,
we can have a rig and
I can
Google.
tell you-
Okay.
Correct
Yes,
him.
I can tell you.
Gambia.
No,
Correct him.
I'm standing by my words.
No, I refuse.
Gambia is a small country
No, it's
with
the
about
second
10
largest,
million.
fastest growing
The-
population.
I'm
is Gambia,
not
Uganda.
talking about
With the youth.
growing population. I'm talking about the youth population.
Yeah.
So,
No, we cannot.
but listen
the
to
youth
my statistics
population- 1 minute, I wanna correct you.
before you
The
correct
youth
me.
population of Uganda cannot be higher than the youth population of Nigeria, because Nigeria
Nigeria is
has
bigger.
120 million people.
Okay, so,
the youth must be more than Uganda. So
all
that's
right.
another mistake.
So let me stand by my word
It's
again.
another
So
mistake.
I'll rephrase it again
Okay.
because I'm standing by my word.
No.
Today, Uganda has the second youngest population in the world. So prove me or not,
And
that's the
what's the
fact.
youngest?
Go to Google. The
He said
youngest is
Nigeria.
the youngest. So
Seven,
the second
Timor.
youngest population.
No,
so
he said
at
Nigeria.
55 at
Number
55%.
Okay.
At 55%, those youth are
I
below
got
the
him.
age of 18. So let's listen to one another. If at all we are to engage in a diplomatic conversation, because we cannot shout and scream over one another. This is how conversations move in a formal setting. So for you, if you don't mind about the generation to come, and you're minding about the current situation in our country, it's so absurd, and it raises eyebrows to people like me and also whoever is on this panel, because today you see that each and every country in the world is prioritizing the issue of youth. So if you don't put the youth issues as a priority on your development agendas, then it means you're stampeding the growth and development of your country. So look at the developed countries today, because you're lucky you're in the US, you've been here for a decade. You see how they prioritize the issues of young people.
I want
So-
you in whatever you're saying right now. I want that
Yeah.
there to be a question that is being
Yes,
posed.
I'm
to Richard.
coming to that. Then let's go to the issue of agriculture, because today you know that agriculture is the economic backbone of Uganda. But recently, I don't know if you watched news, you saw that farmers, it's about 78.7%. That's according to what the speech that was read out by the president yesterday in UK was saying, that 78.7% of Ugandans are engaged in the agricultural sector. But today you find that agriculture as our economic backbone is still stagnant. The market is not there for the produce of the farmers. Recently you saw how the farmers are crying about the price of maize. The farmers are saying that at the border of Kenya, Malaba, they are selling a kilogram of maize at only 200 shillings. And if you look at other sides besides the border, some of them were selling, they're selling the kilogram at only 80 shillings. So, and again, if you look at 80 shillings, that's the middleman. But again, the peasant who is in Nebi or Pakwach or Kaboda Maido is getting only 40 shillings. So the peasant gets 80 shillings. When it goes to, the middleman gets 80 shillings. When it goes to the border, that's when they can sell it at 150 shillings or 200 shillings. Today you see that the Kenya, our brothers in Kenya, because we used to have a comparative advantage over Kenya in terms of maize production. But today results are different.
What's the results?
What's that?
What's the results? Why are they different?
Yes, now today you see, I'm explaining. That's why I'm talking, and I told you you can listen to my points. Today Kenya has gone beyond by importing maize from Mexico.
No, it is
No,
imported
listen to
1
me. I listen
million
to you.
tons of
I listen
maize
to you.
from Uganda.
So,
I'm correcting you.
1
million tons of maize
if we
from
can
Uganda.
listen to one another, because I listen to him.
So
he should also give me the time to lay out my points. So
When you lie,
it's on record. As Kenyans go everywhere online, you're gonna see this. Kenyans have resorted to importing maize from Mexico, which is very far, miles and miles, and they're leaving Ugandans. Why? Because Kenyans want ugali. They want ugali of quality. They're tired of the maize we're growing. So that alone is affecting our market. So Mr. Mukasa, tell us today, and the viewers, if agriculture is our economic backbone, why is it that is receiving the least amount on the financial budget of our country? Because I thought maybe if agriculture is our economic backbone is employing like over 68.7% of the Ugandans, which is 42 million people. Why is it that the government is giving it less than 12% of the national budget?
You want answer?
That's the answer. That's his.
Okay. Nice. I heard from you. I know you are uninformed or ill-informed.
So actually, before it shouldn't confuse leaders or the viewers. For your information, I'm very informed.
Okay, let me inform
currently,
you. Maybe there's something.
No, let me tell you.
Hopefully there's something.
It is a learning platform. So
it's a learning experience.
So
you don't know everything.
No, Hillary. So let's just leave it. Let's just leave it.
Say I'm misinformed.
Okay, maybe you.
Okay, so you pose the question. Let's give him a chance to answer and correct wherever he needs.
Now, the youngest population in the world is Niger. Uganda comes in second.
But you said Gabon.
No, Niger is not. Niger, you're looking at the old data. That's the old data. So if you're looking at the data of 2016, 2017, look at the data of 2018.
Nigeria is not there.
Look at the data.
But Nigeria is
still
even
Nigeria is not there.
With data, you look at the current data.
Still Nigeria.
Okay. I want to bring this back. I want to bring this back.
We are tackling the wrong
issue.
Okay,
so can I be allowed to answer my question?
So
answer the question.
Can you give me a chance to answer my question?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so
One.
with information, yes, we can correct each other because you also said Gambia and he also said Nigeria.
Okay.
Both of the countries were not there. So let's.
2018 is Nigeria.
All right.
I stand
So
by
let's-
my word.
Niger.
2018 is Nigeria.
Okay.
Not
Can
Okay,
Niger.
all right.
Can I
So
be
let's
given a
continue.
chance to
Yes.
talk? Okay. Now, 1, 2. I want to go back to an experience before I come back to the question of agriculture. Uganda, like the rest of Africa, they have the same problems. But Uganda has a history of turbulence the first 25 years, or actually the first 30 years, because we still had Kony up to 96, right? 2006, 96, 2006. So the history of Uganda was turbulent at maybe 30, 35 years. So there was wars in the north, in the east, come down, the whole of Uganda. So we were fighting. And there are some countries like Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe. You go the whole bevy of countries are down south, in the middle out there, and they have not made an improvement in their lives. They are not even like half what you got. You got Somalia, to Malawi, and then you go Mozambique, and then you go to Zambia. Zambia never had a war, but they have just given away their assets to China, and I'll get to the China issue. So Uganda looked at all these countries and realized where the problem for Africa was. What was the African problem? Uganda, NRM has think tanks. They're not like people who just wake up and do stuff. Maybe many of you don't know this, but I'm here as an NRM to tell you. The NRM has think tanks. They sat down. They decided what was going to lift Uganda out of the quagmire it found itself in. What was it? One, they decided on education. Two, they decided on infrastructure. Infrastructure involves roads, bridges, electricity. From the time we had independence, the only hydroelectric dam Uganda ever had was the Owen Falls Dam. Can you give me a chance to talk, sir?
So we're gonna just.
Can you give me a chance to talk?
Okay, so let's
the Owen Falls Dam. So I'm going to go back to all these areas. This is related to all these areas that are underfunded. So we decided that the only way to lift Uganda out of the quagmire it is in was to develop the schools. The hospitals were not part of it. The schools, the infrastructure, the roads, the bridges, the trains, and I'm going slowly. I'm coming to. I know what you're trying to. The electricity. Since the Queen left the dam, which was built in 1954, for the first 30 years, Uganda had one dam, one like this. Since the NRM came to power, we have built over 12 hydroelectric power stations. These electric power stations are the fundamentals of development. When you do not have the fundamentals of development, the country will never move. We need the infrastructure, the roads, the electricity. Imagine for the first 25 years or 30 of Uganda, Uganda had one power dam. That means Uganda was not going anywhere because the fundamentals of an economy is power.
We also have issues with that, but I want you to please, at this time, because we're running
So,
very short of time, I
what
want
we
you to tackle
we
agriculture.
put- I'm taking you there. We put all the money, majority of the money, into the fundamentals. So we will come to agriculture because we realized that agriculture was a primary, we are doing primary processing, primary subsistence agriculture. So we said, let's get the power to run the factories so that when we do the tea, which is grown in Kabarole all over the place, we have power to run the factories. But if you begin with growing the tea, how are you going to process it? If you begin by growing the cassava, how are you going to process the starch? So we decided to begin with power, with roads to bring the fruits to the factories and the produce, and then we will go to the agriculture, and then we will go to the health sector. But we made an intervention in agriculture.
But
Intervention, hold on a minute, we intervened in agriculture. We did Operation Wealth Creation. We give the farmers everything they need to grow. We give the fruit, the seeds.
I remember seeing a picture not long ago of Museveni holding an irrigation system with a bottle of water.
Yes.
What are you giving farmers right now in 2018 that is helping that economy? How is that giving us? We have President Kagame, he's all what? We have their irrigation. Their irrigation system is a modernized system. Yeah. How are you giving me a bottle of water that's going to be tipped over? What kind of system are you giving me?
You want me to answer that?
I want you to answer me that because right now, if you are saying you focus your 33 years.
Can I answer?
Yes, give me a reason why that is and how is that going to help the agriculture system?
Can I answer?
Yes, answer that please.
Do you know how many modern irrigation schemes Uganda has?
I want to know why Museveni at this point in time feels the need that our irrigation system deserves a small open bottle of water that has been cut off at the top. Why do we need that in 2018? This picture was not last year. This picture was not last year.
I know.
It is this year.
I know.
So how is that helping? How is that helping that farmer?
The problem, you don't give me a chance.
Because I'm hearing.
Yes, I know you're worked up, but
I am worked up because you were telling me agriculture is
answer. You keep talking. I can't answer?
Okay, then I'm sorry,
I
because
hope
like
you
that's.
answer that.
Let me answer that.
Let him finish and then we can tackle something else.
Okay.
Because I want this
I
answer
said
back.
we have modern irrigation schemes.
Where?
Which one?
We have one in Mobuku. We have one in Chibimba. We have one in the north. It's called Agago. Yes, the district up north. We have like 10 irrigation, modern.
More than 10. Why are we seeing a picture of
Now, the president,
that particular one?
what the president is doing, is saying, you are a man deep down in Chamlibwa. You are a man not part of these huge government irrigation schemes. Now, you need an immediate intervention so that your crops...
In 2018?
Yes,
In 2018?
your crops do not die.
Look,
But it is that man that is
We
feeding
need
the
rain
population.
in 2018. They need rain. We don't need
not
a
rain. If you
Look.
wait for rain, you are worse than the person who is using bottles, because the bottles will make sure you are irrigating your field. So this is for someone who is deep down in a village who cannot access the government irrigation schemes. That's why
Look,
Uganda
Mr.
today.
They-
Let me
look,
answer. Finish. I'm finishing.
Can I say just
I'm-
one word?
Okay.
Museveni had a vision.
Yes.
But during the course of time, his vision became a mission
Yes.
to keep him in power.
Yes.
Because everything
So-
he talks about
So his
were
vision,
things of yesterday.
So his vision he had for Uganda became a mission to keep him in power.
Okay.
So he will do everything to stay in power.
So your
Wait,
word is done,
no,
right?
No, I'm trying to help you answer these questions because you
Don't
failed to
help me.
answer.
I can answer.
So,
I can answer for
yes,
myself.
because you've had over 10
I can
minutes
answer for
to
myself.
answer
Okay,
one
all
question
right.
and you have failed. So Museveni's vision became a mission to keep him in power. So if keeping him in power is showing people the wrong ways of doing something in 2018 is to use a bottle of can for irrigation, he will do that to stay in power.
Okay, are you finished? Okay. I was still talking. I was
No,
finished.
but-
So you see, Madam Moderator, you're going to help us because
Okay.
you give him.
Can I
you
finish?
say
Okay, I think I'm giving everyone
some
a
of
lot
the
of
things
time.
he
So,
mentions, we really want to
He's trying
address.
to divert us today.
Yes.
And you
Okay.
see,
Okay,
it talks
so
about one
Madam
issue,
Moderator,
you
what
do
do you
another
want to
issue.
finish?
Okay.
So,
Finish?
Madam Moderator, on the issue of hydroelectric electricity is talking about,
Ugandans don't have power.
the dams
No,
you're talking
but they
about,
have been power
we
for 32
are
years.
constructing
Jesus is
them at an expense of loans. So if you look at Bujagali Dam you're talking about, these are loans from China. And we are going to take years and years. It's the next generation that is going to incur this burden. As you know very well today.
What is the cost of power in Uganda?
The power you're talking about we are producing today. We Ugandans can't even afford the
afford
cost
the
of
cost.
this electricity. And you're saying that NRM is doing the great thing. They're exporting electricity to Rwanda at
And
a
even
cheaper
and even
cost.
Kenya.
For us,
Kenyans
we
get it
are
at cheaper
paying
cost.
more money, and you're saying that we are benefiting from this cost. Of course, we are not. So stop coming here and give
Half-baked information.
Yes, half-baked information, and you think that we are going to just consume whatever you give us.
In fact,
so
Ms.
all right,
Hillary,
so
I think,
because we had from you, Hillary, and we had a chance of hearing the question that was posed by Regan, I'm going to give Sarah a chance to issue your question, to whoever you want to.
I'm going to
and then we're going to
clarify
go there.
and then issue my question.
Yes.
My clarity, with the things I want to mention, when he talks about electricity, Ugandans right now, you upload 50,000 yaka, and it cannot even last you 3 days. Ugandans cannot afford the power from the dams they claim are in Uganda. Kenyans and Rwandese access power cheaper than even Ugandans. When you're talking about, we've developed, we've put money in education. Okay, let's assume we put money in education. But the Ugandans, the young people who finish up school are working as maids in Saudi Arabia. They are driving boda in Kampala. Who did you educate? So you educated Ugandans to finish up a 3-year degree to work as bodas or to go to Abu Dhabi or to Saudi Arabia and become maids, and they are brutally, they are abused, they are raped. So and then you want to bring Cuban doctors to treat Ugandans so who are you educating? Because it seems like you have good ideas but you're confused. Who are you educating? And after educating them, when you talk about Uganda has factories, why are Ugandans unemployed? Why are the youth unemployed? Why are we having Ugandans graduating every year but they can't access jobs if we have factories? If you're talking about we've put infrastructures like, oh, Uganda is building roads, who are employed on those roads? China gives you a loan and also brings the people to work, even carry sand, even carry stones. So what type of employment are you talking about? China gives you a loan and at the same time one brings casual laborers. When you have 40 million Ugandans who are jobless, then the regime has a problem. And the people who work for the regime, he called them the tank thinkers. They don't have any brains to think. My question I'll ask Mr. Mukasa. I am glad he has been in America for 20 years. This is something that has been eating my mind. For people who are NRM supporters who live here, I do not know. For example, for Boston alone, you have over 50,000 people living here, if even more. Let's assume the whole of America has about 100 plus Ugandans living here. For the simple status of things, I keep asking myself, do you know how much money Uganda would be making from Ugandans living in America in terms of just exporting foodstuffs? We cannot access matoke here. The matoke we eat here comes from Mexico.
From Mexico.
It's not even matoke. It's like you're eating gonja. The way you prepare that kind of food, it takes you like 2 hours to get proper matoke to eat. As an NRM tank thinker, intelligent man, you've not even been able to sit down with those in power and tell them we are failing to make money from America, from Ugandans living abroad. Just imagine matoke coming in here. If you try to bring in food from Uganda coming in here, what do they tell people? It does not make the standards. For 33 years, we've not had people like Mr. Mukasa to think that we are missing millions and millions of dollars from Ugandans. Why are Ugandans eating matoke that tastes like shit from Mexico? The matoke is not even good. It's not matoke, it's gonja. People eat here as matoke. But we have tank thinkers like Mr. Mukasa. Why can't we access passion fruits? A kilo of passion fruits in Uganda doesn't even cost 1,000. People have passion fruits that go bad. Matoke ripen, and people are eating matoke as bananas. They throw away their matoke. Look at all the farmers in Mbarara. They can't even sell their matoke when it's the season. But we have tank thinkers like Mr. Mukasa, who have been in the diaspora for 20 years, but they cannot think on behalf of the NRM and say, please, Mr. Museveni, we are missing out money. You cannot even approach the minister in charge of trade and investment and say, there is money we are missing out. Where are we getting? We don't have you bought passion fruits here? We have the sweet bananas, leave alone the gonja, the tiny ones. I've looked for them the whole of America. I cannot find them. They are rotting in Kampala. The tank thinkers like Mr. Mukasa, why can't we import? Why can't we export those sweet bananas from Uganda and make money from America? The Ugandans in America, we fed their foods we love to eat. The delicacies of Uganda. Why aren't we exporting insanity to America? You're the tank thinkers. You try to tax Ugandans of every little thing they have. And we hear you saying, yes, we can afford to pay for these things. But you're not even targeting us. We can afford. But you see what happens? Is they try, this is what I see in the NRM and the tank thinkers. They don't want to, when it comes to broader things that would require people thinking and using their common sense, they cannot manage. What they do is they try to retax Ugandans, double taxation on top of double taxations. We are saying there's an avenue. Why am I raising this? You've been here for 20 years. Why am I raising an issue of exporting food to America to feed over 100,000 Ugandans? Do you know how much a bunch of matoke that costs 30,000 in Uganda, how much it would cost here? It would cost $100.
True.
A farmer now is able to sell at least his matoke, because by the time it costs 30,000 in Kampala, a farmer has only sold it for 5,000. But if you're able to sell a bunch of matoke at $100 or even $200, you're able to pay that farmer at least 50,000. What morale would the farmer have to even plant more? and grow more matoke. But you're failing to look for new avenues of making money. And the tank thinkers of NRM who live abroad, who would expose these opportunities to the regime, are also quiet. They are saying we have schools, Ugandans in the village are comfortable, that their food is rotting from the gardens. They are talking about schools, but when the kids graduate, all they do is to go and work as maids in Abu Dhabi and in a, and then you talk about, so what? Why aren't you coming up with all these ideas for 20 years, for 30 years? You've been around and you keep double taxing Ugandans. You keep exploiting a Ugandan who lives below $1 on a daily basis.
So is that the question that you're posing
Yes.
to? All right. So we're going to give you a chance to talk, explain yourself, and then...
Can I go ahead?
Yes, but keep this short, because then we
Okay.
can finish up in the next few minutes.
I know she's Sarah.
Sarah, right?
Yeah.
I know Sarah has not been here long, so he has not seen the effort people have tried to put in the field of exporting to Americas. The people of Caribou try to bring the bananas. There is a cartel here of the banana companies. They do not allow you to bring bananas, however good you may do it, because they have their plantations in Bermuda and all over in Mexico. So they do in Puerto Rico. So there is no way you're going to bring a banana in here. So they make sure the Chiquita people. These companies are held by their cabals and cartels here. Maybe you think mafia is only in Uganda. This is the land of the mafias. So,
but then it takes government.
Okay, can I talk about the issue for
It takes government.
So let him finish. Let him answer the question. Then you can jump in immediately after you've heard his.
Can I finish?
I raise the question. Let me
I finish?
America is not run by cartels. America is run by a government and system.
You have no idea.
But
just come. You don't.
So let him
know.
let him give us his view. Let him answer the question as it has been posed to him, and then let's finish.
The Chiquita guys, they are cartels. These are cartels. They bring in their bananas, and that's why they are all labeled. That's why you think it's only Americans who grow bananas. I mean the Mexicans, wherever. There are so many countries all over the world who grow bananas. In Asia, they grow bananas. Why don't you see Asian bananas in America?
Why don't we have the small bananas? Let's talk about the sweet bananas.
The sweet bananas are here in Caribou. Still, they are Chiquita bananas.
Okay.
No.
So
Yes.
that's where the new formation
You'll
comes.
find them. You'll find them in. You'll find them in Muindi's place.
Let's tackle it. So basically,
Okay.
she's using the example of small bananas. She's using the example to ask a question
Yes.
in regards to agriculture and why. So
what is
please
happening?
tackle that question, and then we can
tackle the question. When we came, the NRM came to power in 1986. Uganda was exporting the only crop. There were two: coffee and a little bit of cotton. Today, our export till is $3.2 billion. We export a variety, a bevy of things: cotton, tea, sugar, even manufactured goods. When the NRM came to power, there were 80 factories in Uganda, 80, and they were underproducing. Me growing up, the beer we used to drink was White Cup. Have you ever, any of you ever seen White Cup?
So we want to keep these answers. We want to keep all the answers that you're making. All the answers that I want to hear, I want them to be in regards to the last 10 years.
Yes.
Because I want to hear about what an NRM has done in the last 10 years.
Yes.
To date.
Yes.
Because
now
our generation has changed.
Speaking,
yes.
Uganda has over 5,000 factories from 80. Okay? So these factories are what is boosting our revenues, because most of those factories are import substitution. Because most of the things we used to come from Kenya are now being made in Uganda. That's why today, as I speak, the Bank of Kenya brought out a report last month which said Uganda today is exporting more to Kenya than Kenya exports to Uganda. Me growing up, every food I ate, I come from the middle class, was Kenyan food: Blue Band, eggs, everything, cheese, everything came from Uganda, from Kenya. Right now, as we speak, the majority of everything eaten in Uganda is Ugandan, and we export more to Kenya than Kenya exports to
You
Uganda.
still export
The
blue
question
band.
she posed was
Kenya
in regards to
disputed that claim.
Uganda and
Kenya
America.
disputed that claim.
No, this is from the Bank of Kenya.
No.
that was
given-
Can you
see,
Google it? You are the Mr. Googler. Can you Google it?
that,
Even the simple blue band is still incoming.
Google.
that statistics.
Hey,
hey,
listen. We don't have to argue about this. Google
we've
the
not-
Bank of
we've not
Kenya
come
report.
here to-
All right.
It's right here.
So,
we've
Mr.
not,
Have you
we've
feared to
not,
Google it?
we've not come here to Google. We shall do that
No,
in our free time.
because you fear
Okay.
facts.
Because
No.
Mr.
Let's do this. Let's do this by the facts. So if we want
Let's live
facts,
by the
let's
facts.
have someone
Get
Google
the
it, and then
facts.
keep explaining, sir, and then we can continue on to that.
Take-
One more
put the
question.
Uganda
We have one more question, one more topic to
No,
tackle, and
that's-
then we can close out the show. So I'm gonna ask, have you finished answering the
I
question
was
she
still
posed?
finishing
Yeah.
and he interrupted me.
Okay.
So what we are saying is we are exporting. We realize it's so difficult to export to developed markets because you take fish there. Some of the things that were never ever exported before have been started by the NRM, like fish, flowers, gold. We have massive amounts of cocoa going out, a massive amount of tea, things going out. This is what the NRM diversification. Today, when I speak, there is not a single crop you can destroy in Uganda and the economy collapses because the economy is so diverse. And this is a report which was brought out by the Harvard Kennedy School, which said the next frontier of development by 2025 is Uganda and India.
Before you answer those questions,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I've ignored the online people, everyone who's online, and you're posing your questions. There's so many I can't
The
get to
problem,
them
most of them
at the
are
same
just
time.
abusive. That's why I don't want you pay a lot of attention.
That's why I've tried to
if they can
stay
be
away
more
from.
civil.
Okay, all right. So for now, I'm going to just give a chance to two questions that I want to, two statements that have been posed to you. We have Moses Yunus Semogede saying, ask the gentleman what happened to the coffee marketing board. And then we also have Cliff Cross is saying, but we have Chiquita bananas in the UK and in Europe, and Matoke still comes there.
Yes.
So why is that not the issue
Why don't they have
in
cartels?
America? Yet Chiquita is also bringing their own
That's
thing.
why I
So-
told you there's cartels in America. If people can take the bananas to the UK, why have they failed? Caribou tried. You ask the
No,
high-
but Caribou is only
Well, if
one.
I can
the
answer that
bureaucracy.
question, let me answer that question. You see, with US, they are very strict when it comes
On
to standards.
quality and standards.
So US has different quality standards from UK. So if
Exactly.
UK agrees with the standards of Uganda, they are fine.
The
But
whole of
you
Europe
see- but you
agrees
see,
with Uganda, but the US,
Exactly.
I told you,
with-
the US
with-
has
No.
cartels.
With
Why
UK,
can't
with
the
US,
Ugandan- why
Chiquita
US is different.
has
Okay.
cartels.
US is different. Then you're talking
You
about
don't know this.
Why does Matoke go to-
Okay.
Okay. You are
Okay.
talking
Okay.
about,
All right.
you are talking about the issue of coffee. But I can tell you that coffee today has lost value. So if Uganda is selling coffee at international market, it's lost value.
We don't depend on coffee
no,
anymore.
Even
Even if
but
we depend on a variety
you've been
of
praising
food.
coffee. Hold
Fish,
on, guys.
flowers.
Hold on.
All right,
Can
I'm gonna
wait,
shut this.
just
I'm
a
gonna
minute.
shut this
You've
conversation
been-
down
you've
if
been
it's going to be
praising
causing.
coffee. But again, we are seeing that coffee has a lot of value at the international markets. Then you're talking about other crops like vanilla. Today, this government.
didn't talk about
He didn't talk about
yes,
vanilla,
yes,
though.
yes,
I
but
talked
I'm
about a
I'm
bevy
showing him
of
how farmers are
I talked
losing.
about a lot of goods.
Yes.
What
but
are they?
Which goods?
Which
Tell
goods?
me.
You
what-
don't give me a
what-
chance to
Okay,
answer.
good. All right, all right.
Where are we exporting?
All right.
the
Okay,
gold
okay,
you're
okay.
talking about? Where
Hillary,
are we
I'm gonna
exporting
cut
the
you
zinc
off.
you're talking about, and what are the revenues doing?
Listen,
Can Ugandans see?
can you-
the
I'm gonna
revenues
shut
doing?
you down. I'm gonna shut you down. I'm gonna
Not
shut you
seeing
down.
them.
I'm gonna shut you down. I'm gonna give you a chance to explain yourself in 2 minutes.
Yes.
That's it.
1 minute. I've told you we expect a bevy of goats, Uganda. We export 193 tons of tea, million tons of tea. Kilos of tea. 193 million kilos of tea. We export coffee. We export flowers. We export fish. We export gold. We export cocoa. We export a lot of things. A variety. Timber. We export beer. We export milk. Actually, we are the second largest exporters of milk in Africa after South Africa.
Exporting it to which countries?
We export it even to Europe, Holland, even the casein, it's called casein or something that comes from the milk is brought to the United States today.
So we have someone saying, Joyce Kathy Kidia is saying, we are having more foreign investors owning these factories, of which the proceeds are repatriated back to their countries.
Yes.
Besides, they are given a tax break for over 10 years,
Yes.
meaning Uganda isn't gaining anything.
It
Yes,
is.
they say that factories have helped create jobs, but who takes up the juicy positions?
Can I
Enter
answer that?
off with the 80 factories we had then than the over 5,000 today.
Yes.
So,
Can I answer that?
Yes.
When somebody comes to start up a factory, he comes with $10 million. What does he do? He buys the land, $1 million.
They don't buy land. They
do.
are given land.
No, they do. They buy land. They buy land. One, they buy land. Two, they buy bricks to put up the factories. Okay? They buy water. They buy electricity. Okay? And they give people job. And they pay taxes, the sales tax. What they don't pay is income tax. I know many of you don't know this.
No, we know income
Those
tax is
people
the
don't pay
corporation
income
tax.
tax. Excuse me, ma'am. They don't pay income tax. They pay sales tax. Okay? The tax holiday is for income tax. They pay sales tax. And they give jobs. And then the government taxes the salaries of the workers, the revenue they use to build roads and railways and whatever. Yes.
All right, so I think I'm gonna cut this conversation off because I'm gonna cut it off
he has
because
fed us with lots of lies.
Okay,
and we
all
can't,
right,
feed
all right,
our
all right.
viewers with all the lies.
so
and
I'm gonna
stuff
give a
just
chance
feed
to everyone. If the conversation is going to be, it's going to take so many turns. I'm going to ask every person, every guest right now to take to go to Facebook and have a chance to answer people who have asked you and who have raised their points. You guys are responsible for answering and individually giving them answers and responding to them. But in regards to now, we have had your conversations, we have had your opinions. Let us answer one more question and we're going to close down the show. In regards to Sarah Bakanansa and Hillary, you guys are representing people power, and that's your mentality is people power. Mr. Regan over here is representing the new formation under Mugisha Muntu, and Mr. Mukasa is representing NRM. So I'm going to pose a question to all of them, and I'm going to give them each 1 minute to explain to me, to give me a clear answer, something that you guys who are watching us online could be able to live with, or even take a chance to think about it and see yourselves in the next, and see Uganda in the next few months or years to come. I'm going to ask a question today. Where do you see Uganda going in the next 1 year and a half? Sarah and Hillary, in regards to people power. Mr. Mukasa, in regards to NRM, where do you see Uganda going? Where do you see NRM leading the country in the next few years? Okay. In the next 1 year, because right now we're having so many little things are breaking out, little inconsistencies here. There's so many things that are happening that are leaving people brutalized or victimized. There's so much violence that's on the uprise. Okay. So where do you see Uganda going in the next few years, leading to us electing a new president? Okay. And then I'll give after that, Regan will say something, you will say something, and then Hillary will close. Under 1 minute, please. Okay. Thank you.
We've had a few issues which are not good, like the brutalizing of people. And those mistakes must be rectified. Sure. They must be rectified. Whoever was beaten, I'm sorry. I don't support anybody being beaten. If I'm to face the president, I'll tell him straight up, there's no reason why you beat somebody. If somebody has committed a crime, take him to the courts of law. They will tell us what to do. You cannot be the judge and
jury and
the executioner. Sure. So you policeman, any policeman caught or army officer beating up somebody, you don't need to beat journalists, you don't need to beat anybody. You can't just commit them. And then I don't want to see people committing violence against policemen too. People stone the policeman. Here in America, you stone a policeman, you are dead, straight up. If you stone a policeman in America, you die there and then. Straight, there's no excuse for that. Two, the third point is Uganda is taking off. People can deny that. People can say whatever they are taking. I've told you from 80 factories, which were barely functioning. Now we have over 5,000 factories and counting. And another thing is we have invested a lot of your money, your tax money, in the oil infrastructure. They have paid off people where the pipeline is going to pass. taking oil to the coast. They have brought in an investor, General Electric million here. He's going to put up a refinery in Hoima. They are putting up a huge airport in Hoima. The British gave us £600 million, and the airport in Hoima is going on. So Uganda is going to have another huge airport, and we're going to have a refinery, and we're going to export, and Uganda's economy is going to double every 5 years, every 2 years actually from there. And then we are going to have, we expect to have the railway coming in and the flyovers to decongest the city so that the traffic, the Japanese...
I need everyone to respect his conversation.
Yes,
What
the
he's saying,
Japanese government gave us $300 million for the flyovers phase 1 and phase 2. They can laugh. They used to laugh about Entebbe Express Highway. You have seen it, haven't you?
But it has
no. Have you seen the highway?
In the 21st century, you're building a two-lane.
Yes, because that's the capacity.
That's
the capacity of the vehicles you have. America has 103 million vehicles. We have 1 million vehicles. How are you expecting to build a 4 or 5 lane?
Build a 4 lane to discongest Kampala with the traffic jam.
Yes.
A 2 lane in the 21st century.
Yes. Because it has the capacity for expansion.
So the flyover you're talking about, are they coming in 2030?
No, they are beginning in
Next
January.
year?
In January.
January of this year?
Yes, they paid and signed. Hold on a minute. They paid. They signed the contractor, a Japanese contractor. He's assembling his machine. By January, the construction will have started.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna give him a chance to talk about his political belief, and then you say where do you see Uganda in the next few months? Where do you see new formation taking Uganda? What values does it have in under 1 minute? And then we can continue on to Hillary.
Now, for 32 years, the NRM has failed us, but the new hope is now
coming.
The new hope is coming. We should not lose hope. And a new formation is like the new flower in the garden. Each and every bee looks for it. So with new formation, we are looking at structure building. Because NRM is in the wee hours of its regime, that change is coming sooner than later. And what we need is not to give us power, and we do exactly what NRM has done. What we've been having in Uganda is reactional changes of power. That Amin reacted and took off Obote. Museveni reacted and took off Obote. But now what we are coming up with is building structures before even we go into the general elections. And we are looking at having a coalition with people power so that we front structures. We are looking at winning seats in the parliament, because it does not make sense having a president when you have 35 members of parliament on your side. We are trying to create structures that are going to win seats, that we shall have the parliament on our side and we shall also have the president. That's why we are looking at the new rose in the garden, that is Mr. Chagulanyi, to have a coalition with him. So we are talking of building structures, having people that are cool-minded, having people that are going to lead Uganda into a transition, that we are at a time in the world that we don't need to shed blood anymore. That's why we need people that are cool-minded, like General Mugisha Muntu on our side.
So what's your executive in new formation? Can you tell us?
New formation will be launching officially in before Christmas. The dates are not yet set, and we are trying to build ground, because new formation right now we are working with each and everybody. We are looking at the forces of change. We are looking at JEMA, we are looking at the FDC, we are looking at people power, we are looking at each and every forces of change, so that we can have a peaceful transition of power. And after the transition of power, the question is, what happens after? And that's where we are looking at. That we would not want to have power and we don't know what to do next. We don't want to have power and power corrupts us the way it did to Museveni. We want to build structures that regardless of who is president, the country moves. Regardless that they wake up one day and Sarah is president of Uganda, she will do what she's supposed to do, because there are structures. We have been talking about, we are not importing matoke to the US, it's because we do not have structures. It's because Museveni broke all the structures that each and everything works for him, and him. So there are only three people running Uganda. It is Museveni, him, and him. What he thinks in his bed is what happens in the parliament, is what happens on the streets. If he thinks that today we need to give people in the ghetto money, that's what will happen regardless of what people think. So that's what not we want. We don't want reactional changes of power. We want structures that regardless of who is president, and when is he president, and what time is he president, these structures can hold on to.
Very nice. Very nicely said. We're going to have Hillary finish up, and then we'll finish with...
Yes, thank you so much. Moderator, as you said, the question was, where do you see Uganda in the next coming years? And I would like to tell you that the way the things are moving on under this leadership and tyranny of dictator General Kaguta Museveni, Uganda is sitting on a ticking bomb. You see that we are a highly indebted nation today. As I speak to you right now, we have 41 trillion shillings in debt. And this same president, dictator General Kaguta Museveni, has gone ahead by borrowing more money from China. So today, the president is, engaging in what we call commercialized politics. So this is the problem now. So tomorrow you're going to see that politics is going to be highly commercialized because the president is moving with sacks and sacks of money. They are not accounted for. The parliament is so silent about this issue. And we are worried because if we don't act right now, then the state is going to be, in serious quagmire. So, and today you see that the president has again struck a deal with Germans. So he wants to print the notes in Uganda. So that's a very serious problem. So if we don't act right now, you're going to see that money laundering is going to be a very big problem in the next 1 to 2 years when this president, Mr. Museveni, is still in office. So we are saying Ugandans, it's high time we woke up because money laundering is going to be a very serious problem. And you see what is happening in banks right nowadays. You find someone, he has over 30 billion Ugandan shillings on an account, and you're wondering, where did this money come from? How did this person accumulate this kind of wealth? Can they account for their source of income? Yesterday you saw this young man, Brian White. He displayed billions on a table. But the government is quiet. They don't even ask him, what's the source of your income? Because in civilized nations, now if you come to a country like USA,
Sure.
the following day FBI will be on your door, knocking, tell us what's the source of your income. But because the government of dictator General Kaguta Museveni, is used to money laundering, is used to manipulate and tokenize, young people as its projects. Because we all know that this young man, Brian White, is being used by the government. This is the taxpayers' money that is being used. Lots of fake money is going to be on the market. So Ugandans, I don't know where we're going, but we are saying enough is enough. So we, as the people who believe in the movement of people power, we cannot continue looking at the way things are.
Right,
if our brother tells us agriculture is modernized, we are exporting lots of things, and today we have 27% of our population living below the poverty line, meaning that they can't spend $0.5 a day, then it means that we're not on track. So we are saying that enough is enough, but I'm seeing that as Ugandans, mostly the people in the opposition, we are going to rise up. We are going to form, coalitions. And as you've seen today, Bobi Wine was in Kenya. He was, invited by, these youth parliamentarians Owino Babu. And today, Owino Babu has said that as young parliamentarians, they are going to open up, a coalition of, youth leaders in order to prioritize the issues of young people in Uganda, in East Africa, and in Africa. And to make matters so good with this, they're going to bring Julius Malema on board. And now they've brought Owino Babu on board, and now Bobby Wine is also on board. So we are saying that, asante sana, watu wa Kenya, tunalisema that, watu nguvu zetu. So we are saying that people power, our power. So we have to sensitize all the people that let's speak this word people power in our languages. If you speak Ludicha, talk about these things. That,
all right.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Let me tell these people. Yes, it's fine. I listen to you.
No. Wonder 1 minute. So, you're going over 2. So I want to make it even for everyone else.
In conclusion. Njagala kagama tugasambe abastuntu. Untisiti kekastera twisistu kefestena abastuntu abaganda. Trasta nyo mstaja osto no. Kekastera banastange mukwastase amastanyi trasta nyo mstaja osto no. Amastanyi gali mufufe abastuntu. Njagafala kugafamba abafantu mbufutu. Obuyisi njabuli mufufe abafantu. Njagalo gamba bananga bana Uganda mwena jemuli nti obuyinza buli mufa abantu tweberemu teri kuzikiza tugamba.
All right.
Power, our power.
We have Hillary, thank you so much for your interruption, for your interpretation in 3-4 different languages. For all the people who understood, we're going to conclude this show with one last word from Sarah Bakanansa, and then we'll see you guys in another session. So Sarah, please take it away, and then we can conclude.
You asked us where do we see Uganda in the next 1 year, and definitely for us, our role as people power, as people who believe in people power, who believe in us raising our voices, we are going to focus on sensitizing every Ugandan. As I repeat to say, we want every cows and every cows, goats, and trees that have been voting for Mr. Museveni in areas where there are no people. We want them to understand people power and have a mindset as well. And
but the way that statement started,
we are not going to focus on things because we've had all these stories. He mentioned next year we are having flyovers. In next year we are having airplanes flying on Kampala. Every Ugandan will have a job. Those are things we've learned. And when you're saying that, when you're saying that,
don't put words in my mouth. I never said everybody will have a job.
If Uganda has not had a flyover in the next 10 years, last 10 years, next year Uganda is going to have a flyover.
The contracts were signed. The contracts were signed.
You see, the problem we have in Uganda.
We are not going for an election next year. But the contracts were signed.
Let me speak, Sebo. The problem we have with Uganda and the tank thinkers, like these ones, they've mastered the politics of fooling people. And it's so disheartening. Fooling Ugandans who are reasonable, we are young people, educated. And thank God we are not products of UPE, we are not products of USCE, we are not products of free education. Some of us, our parents have toiled out of their pockets. From whether I was around when UPE was around, but my parents took me to a private school because they knew definitely I wouldn't even sit here and express myself. Many of UPE products cannot even sit here and express themselves. They can't even speak English. So those are people we see in Uganda. So it is so disheartening that the chance we've gotten of having someone from the NRM side, he has continued to fool us as much as the rest have also done. So we are focusing on sensitizing Ugandans. And I'm calling also on, I'll briefly talk about, I've seen a new political party, new formation are forming. We are also telling them they can form as much as they want, but let them stay on focus. We want change. We are encouraging every Ugandan to know the power belongs to them. The time is right now for them to demand the change they want. And Uganda is not looking for more political parties, but if they can have one, they are good to go. But we are looking for change. Our focus is one. We want change in Uganda. We want change in leadership.
Yes, sir, we want change, but what happens after the change? Because change is going to come. And
we will get there.
The truth of the matter is, change is coming sooner than later.
Yeah.
But what we should tackle is what happens when you have the power in your hands. Yes, power does belong to the people, but not everybody leads the people. You understand? Power does belong to the people.
So you're forming a political party to lead Uganda.
Wait. Let's make this clear. change is going to happen.
Yes.
That we are on the same plate. But the issue is what happens after we have the power in our hands. And what I'm saying is, power belongs to the people.
You're saying exactly what I'm saying.
But people do have leaders.
We already have, yes.
Yes, just the way we have Robert Chagulanyi.
And I don't have. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying.
What I'm saying is,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is a country. It is.
I want to conclude.
It is a country, and he needs allies. He cannot.
No, we don't have any problem.
And he cannot lead alone. Our major worry is what's going to happen when we have power in our hands.
We are going to, because you see, that's what I keep telling. A minute, please. A second. The problem we are going to face is the problem you face creating more political parties. This is what I explained the other time. Everyone is fighting for the small job of being a party president. When you open up your ears and your mind, that's where we're going. Everyone wants to be party president. I'm the president of this card. I hold this party. I'm the probably. Hold up a second. But the problem.
You've had your chance.
But
so let me
the problem of Uganda is not who is the head of a political party. You are going to form 1,000 political parties. That's not the problem. The problem of Uganda is we want change.
No,
and change.
No, the problem of Uganda is having structures that whoever is president, whoever is that, it does not regard your background. If you have the qualifications to be president, you can lead the nation. So the problem of Uganda is above what happens when you have power. That's why we want structures.
Can I speak?
So
can I finish up?
Yes, I gave you your time to finish.
Yeah,
You talk.
Can I finish up? Because you see the problem
finish up
here,
and then we can conclude.
You see sometimes when you see sometimes why even NRM gets to laugh. Is the problem why NRM gets to laugh is simple. When you see political parties bickering over, let me speak. When you see political bickering, because the biggest problem right now we see, he has been talking about it. You see an NRM guy bragging and saying, oh, our voters are in the village. Our role right now, I don't care which political party you belong to, is to sensitize every Ugandan.
I think we understand.
No. Regan, give her a chance.
Structures, it does not matter which party leads the country if you do have structures.
No, but
If you have an independent electoral commission,
we are bickering over no.
Can I
Regan,
let me finish.
We are finishing this.
Why
this
are
conversation.
You jumping on the next thing to do? Why are you creating structures to people who don't know even they need change? Because if you still have NRM feeling proud,
that's why we can't give you power. See, before you go to power, look at yourself. Look at it.
Oh my God!
Look at this.
No,
you're gonna be a mess, Somalia.
No, you're going to be a mess as well. You're already messed up. And you see, for me,
you're going to be Somalia. Look.
You
look
see, when I see new formation.
Sorry, you have a few seconds left, and then we can conclude.
A few seconds to finish. That's the only message. No, the only message I want everyone forming up a party or what, and I still stress it, and I've stressed this in all the shows I've been here. Uganda doesn't need any new parties, and Ugandans will agree with me. We don't need any new political parties. The biggest role we have is to sensitize Ugandans who don't know we deserve change, because people have been muted for a long time. 33 years, it's enough to suppress Ugandans. Ugandans need to understand why they need change and why the time is now. For the structures, for you to go into structures like forming up a new electoral commission, even if you formed a new electoral commission right now, when the one you have is still voted by Museveni, it is put in structure by Museveni. You're wasting time. Museveni is going to win an election.
How did Bobby Wine win an election with that electoral commission?
But how could you? Then I'll answer that. He won an election because it would be so hard for you to steal his vote when he had won every polling station.
And how did Bugiri man win?
Okay, all right.
By-election.
No.
Because I'm talking about by-elections.
Okay,
with by-election,
how did
Semu
win?
I want everyone to respect the show. I want everyone to respect the show and respect the fact that I moderate this show. So we have given everyone a chance to express their views in the little time that we were given, and that this conversation will continue off air, or even next time when everyone is who is invited, it comes back again and you honor our invitation. But for now, this is enough the time that we had for this show. I want to thank everyone who has been tuning in, everyone who has voiced their opinion, everyone who has said something in regards to the topics that we're talking here today. I hope that this opened your eyes a little bit to the facts that you're seeing out there, a little bit to the problems that are out there. And I hope you guys can tune in next time and follow the show. This is Uganda at the Crossroads. I've been your host, Alexandria, your host with the mostest, and we hope to see you soon next time. Please, I want to ask all our guests who have come onto the show, join the show, join the page, and take a moment to answer and reply to all the people, the individuals who are curious about all the opinions that you have voiced on the show. Sarah, Hillary, Mukasa, and Regan, I would love you guys to take a moment to tune in and, you know, answer the questions that the guys who have taken their time to watch you guys and see what kind of matter you're representing. Please give them that same respect, answer and respond to all their questions and their comments, and let's keep that conversation going. For now, I hope everyone has a lovely evening, have a lovely morning wherever you guys are stationed in the world, and have a lovely evening. We will see you next time on Saturday at on the Campfire TV Boston while you're watching Uganda at the Crossroads. So have a lovely day. Bye.